there's power in taking a photograph. There's power in being an artist.
It's the Phoenix Film Revival Podcast.
All right, we're back again for another episode of the Phoenix Film Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Yannicone, even though I don't really host the podcast. Stacy does. But Stacy is here as well.
Hello.
Picking up the
I'm just gonna go quiet. I'm gonna make Dan do the whole thing now.
No, don't do
Watch
that.
him panic.
That'll be a struggle for me. I just produce it. I'm the producer. Anywho's.
We'll just everything will be like, Dan, what's your opinion on that? Nobody.
We'll pull a Mitch McConnell and just stare.
That's
can't tell.
That's normally if you're in the room with Dan during a podcast. Sometimes I look over at him. He's just looking at me dead faced. I'm like, okay,
What's the next question?
cool.
Well,
We'll get him to talk eventually.
we have another guest with us again, of
Yep.
course. We have
Hey, it's Dino, the photographer.
Dino photographer.
hey,
Yeah.
So Dino Jagger, right?
Yeah, Jagger.
Jagger.
Yeah,
the third.
It's German, but I'm Italian, and yes, it's the third.
The third.
It's Oliver Dean Jagger the third,
Nice.
but because
nice.
I'm Italian, and the nickname has just been passed to me, it's Dino.
So you're from the. Are they all Olivers, but they're also all Dinos as well?
That is such an interesting story. Well, not even a story, just like an explanation. It's actually Oliver Jagger the first, and then Dick Jagger, and then Oliver Dean Jagger the second,
Okay.
and then Oliver Dean Jagger the third. So technically, my great grandfather is the first, but
Yeah.
my grandfather is Dick.
okay.
So,
okay.
or Richard, but Dick is what he wrote on all his tools.
Yeah.
So that's what I know him as.
Okay. Okay.
that's cool.
Nice. Keeping the name going.
Yeah, I feel like everyone gets very confused with my name. They don't know what to call me because on my Instagram it says Oliver and then it's in quotes and then it's Dino. But for everyone out there listening, you can. The final consensus is it's Dino. You don't need to say Oliver.
Is Dino short for dinosaur?
No.
Okay.
Dinosaur.
Oh man, I've been getting that my whole
That'd be
life.
pretty cool, actually.
It would be cool if I don't know. Actually,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. But no, Dino is the way we go with it. So
Cool.
yeah,
Dig it.
yeah,
Well, you take pictures. That's why
A lot,
That's why
yeah.
you're here.
That's why you're here.
a ton of pictures. Yeah,
Anyone that takes photos,
Yeah.
you're on.
Boom, you're on podcast.
Boom, you're on.
But
So
yeah,
we've known you for a while, like most people.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably through the lab. I'm assuming. I think you guys met way before I met you.
yeah,
Yeah.
Definitely through the lab. I think just going to Dan's like little hangouts or film meetups or
yeah,
photo walks or whatever.
Yeah.
Because we were, me and James, Slim,
yeah.
and then like Eldon and Peter and like all those guys. We were doing photo walks kind of before I even met you.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And then they were like, "Yo, you have to, next time Phoenix Film Revival does something, you have to come with." And I had never met you, but I had seen you on Instagram, so I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, let me just check it out." And then the first time I met you, I think you had a Fujifilm 6x17, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Who is this man? Like, this is crazy."
What's this guy doing?
Yeah.
That camera's a beast.
Oh my gosh.
I missed that camera.
Yeah,
I had to
you-
trade
It wasn't.
it back.
back, yeah.
So was it yours or was it not?
No, it's actually a friend of mine, Nick Lish. He actually has a 617, and then my buddy Danny De La Cruz, who actually was the one who did our previous podcast. We all did a 3-way swap, and so I took Danny's 6.9, he took my 4x5, and then I swapped the 6.9 for the 617. And then we've finally traded back. So Nick and I traded the 617 and the 6.9 back. But yeah, that camera was
You
like,
still don't
my
have your
gosh,
4x5 though. But Danny left you. He went to
Yeah.
Mexico.
he went
Took your
across the
camera with
border
him.
and left me.
Yeah.
But I've got a 6.9 still, which is a really fun
Well, there
camera.
you go. I mean,
But
it's half the 617.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love the camera, but yeah, I gotta get the 6.9 CLA because the focus is
Which
off
one is it?
now.
Is it the Fuji?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if you can CLA those easily. So,
Probably not. But does it have bellows on it?
no.
Oh, well, maybe.
Yeah, I'll have to ask around and find out, but
Yeah.
that's a fun camera.
That's
Well,
it.
yeah. Anyways, when I saw that 6x17, I was like, "Holy crap, dude!
Yeah.
This guy is like real deal." And then you took that family portrait of everyone with
Yeah.
you that day, and I was like, "Damn, this is so cool."
Yep. We've
Yeah.
got what was it?
Those are fun photos. We have another one from across the street. that was 2 years ago. You took on the 617 as well. The one we had
Yeah.
everybody across the street on Grand, and we were over by our building, and we took it.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Yeah, that camera's fun, but man, you go through film so fast.
Oh my gosh,
Four
yeah.
shots.
4 shots.
Oh, is it really only 4 shots?
Yeah.
I was gonna say
only
like
4
2 or
shots.
3, but I mean,
No, 4 shots if you're
4.
lucky.
yeah.
if you make sure to cock it and
Yeah.
advance it properly. Because
Yep.
when I first started shooting it, I was not realizing that you're supposed to do it a certain way, and I got it out of order. And so when you go to advance to the next shot, you end up taking a picture, and
Yep.
it ruins the shot that you just took. So, anyways, yeah,
Well,
fun camera.
Film is, film is like that sometimes. So
Yeah.
It absolutely is. You have
Yeah.
to kind of accept all of those.
Oh,
flaws.
100%. If you're a film photographer and you don't accept that you're going to mess up at least like 40% of the time, that's in the high range, but still like at least that much, then you might not want to be a film photographer because you're
Yep.
going to waste a lot of money.
Got to commit to the failure as well.
Yeah,
It was a success.
100%. Yeah, and you should
Yeah.
embrace that stuff too. Like if you accidentally take a double exposure, you should post it, dude.
Yeah.
And like write a little story in your caption or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But don't let it go to waste.
No.
That's crazy. It's like $3 a shot if you're on medium format.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
It's so expensive.
Yeah, you got to enjoy it. But it's always great because you mess up a lot and it's just sort of what happens like all along the way. But when you get a good one, it's like so much more.
Oh my gosh, it's
rewarding.
magical.
Yeah,
It's absolutely
like,
magical.
I did it.
Yeah. Especially when you're like new to film and you take a shot and you're like, I don't think that's going to come out like at all. But then you get it back however many days later with
Yeah.
whatever lab you go to.
True.
And you see something, you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know that it looked like that when I took it. Because you see it with your eyes a certain way, you know?
Yep.
But then when you see it on film, you're like, holy shoot.
Yeah.
Can I say
It's you
can I say shit
You
on
can say
YouTube?
shit.
Okay,
Yep.
holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good on that one.
Okay, cool. But yeah,
Yeah, it's-
magical stuff.
It's amazing. Then you get bigger and bigger in your format, and it gets pricier and pricier.
That's like the natural evolution. I feel like everyone, it's like you start point and shoot and then you go to whatever, a 35 mil like SLR, and then you're into medium format, and then so on and so on. Like
Yep.
Slim now is shooting like 4x5 or whatever large format. I don't even
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
I'm not a large format guy, but he shows me stuff and I'm just like how are you what I don't
yeah.
even know how that stuff works, dude.
It's crazy. I will say 4x5 is pretty fun because you basically open up a whole new world of photography.
Oh,
not
yeah.
just with the size, but with what you can actually
The
accomplish.
depth and like some of the lenses can create just like such cool effects too. Like I've seen him take photos
Yep.
where I'm like, how did you get all this swirl? And he's like, it's just like in the lens, dude. I don't
Yeah.
know the technology. I'm
I just
damn.
point the camera and shoot. It does it. It does
Yeah.
itself. It's in the
Well, I'm
camera.
like discrediting Slim though because he is a really good photographer, but like yeah, and he knows his stuff. Like he
Absolutely.
can talk circles around me in terms of like film tech. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the stuff you can do with the larger cameras is crazy. I started in college. I had like a Minolta, I don't even know, X307 or 703 or something like that.
Yeah.
Someone will know that's listening to the podcast. But I started on that, shot a roll. Roll came out like crap. Never knew why. Never shot film again. And then I picked it back up in like 2020. But I restarted with a Mamiya 7,
Nice.
which I know now is like I was very lucky to have that camera as kind of like my first real like endeavor into film.
Yeah.
But I have full respect for everyone who shoots like point and shoots and stuff and can make like really cool shit because I shoot point and shoots all the time with Brit, and that's the majority of what I shoot now. And half the time I'm like, damn, I just wasted that roll on like absolutely nothing. Like pictures of like, I don't know, porta potties or
Yeah.
something.
I could have took a better picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky with point and shoot for sure because you have
Oh
no
my
control
gosh,
on
you have
it.
zero control, and that's why I respect like someone who can create such cool stuff with point and shoots. It's so
Some
hard.
people are really good. One of our former guests, Thorpe, he does disposable Congress. So if you look up hashtag disposable Congress, he's taking pictures of Congress on disposable cameras.
Yeah, that's why.
And he's getting the most amazing shots.
Is he giving them to like? Or is he taking them physically himself? Like he's just going in with the disposable and taking
Yeah,
them?
he's
Oh,
a
okay.
reporter. Yeah, so Frank's
Oh.
a reporter for NBC. So yeah, he does reporting and photographer. So he's always there.
That's crazy.
So he's always taking photos. So he's got the in with all of them, but he has like a whole series called Disposable Congress. He does all kinds of things though. Frank does like 4x5. He did a pinhole photo of the Congress floor.
I would love to see
was
him
crazy.
give a disposable to them, to like the Congress people, and like see what they do with it
And do more.
Because
Yeah,
have you
yeah.
you guys seen those trends that are going around?
Yeah, people
where-
give them like, hey, are you going on vacation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That stuff is so fascinating because everyone
Yeah.
shoots different. So it's like, how would
Yeah.
a congressperson shoot?
Yeah, it's we have our intro class that we do, and it's so crazy seeing everybody's shots because oftentimes we'll do the processing for everyone at the end, and then we have some people who shoot like very abstract, and then
Yeah.
we get some people who like really think
Yeah.
out and compose stuff differently.
Yeah.
So the perspectives that different people
Yeah,
have.
it's so weird because we do the same walk for every one of those, and we've done so many workshops. So many people have taken those photos, and it's the same block. And I swear, every time I'm like, "What the hell's that?"
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff I've never seen on Grand that
That's-
pops up. I'm like, "How did you?" Like, it's
That-
amazing. You can see something so many times, and
That
it's
is like
different.
the embodiment of film. It's like everyone was going to take a different, or even not even film, just like photography in general. Like
Yeah.
everyone has such a different eye, and that's what makes it so unique. That's also what makes it so scary with like AI coming out. It's just like, it's starting to make headway into like the creative field, and you're like, oh, is this really going to hurt us? Is it going to help us? Is it going to allow us to see things in a different way? But there's nothing like the human eye is like nothing else. Like everyone just has their own taste and their own likings, and like some people really love flowers, or like some people really love shooting flowers at a macro level. It's like you could shoot a flower 100 billion different ways, but someone will find out a way to shoot it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then someone's style, you can tell.
Yeah.
Like we talk about all the time. Like
Yeah.
a lot of photographers, I can be flipping through Instagram and not even look at the name and be like, I know who that is.
Yeah.
because you just start seeing that it just comes out.
Well, we were talking about Lucinda earlier, and she is one of those people where I'm like, as soon as I see a photo, I
Yeah.
don't even have to see her name. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a Lucinda photo. You can
Yeah.
just tell like right away.
Yeah, it's weird because it like you see it, but you don't know what it is in the image that
Yeah.
makes it that way.
Yeah.
And your brain knows immediately. It's so weird.
I wonder-
It is interesting. Like if I had to describe like what it is that I'm seeing there, that's like that's hers, or it, like we were talking about with what's his name, like Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan's very the same way.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But
you can
to
tell
like
it's a
you
Ryan
can
photo.
totally tell it's a Ryan photo.
Yeah.
But it's like if you had to describe why it's a Ryan photo, I'd have a hard time doing that.
Yeah, well, because we all shoot. I mean, at least here in the desert, we all shoot such similar things.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're all kind of like. I mean, there's a few of us that do like abandoned stuff, and then like a few that just strictly do street. But we're all looking at the same. Like all that stuff is like pretty close to
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
other stuff. Like you could see an abandoned building and then see someone in a
Yeah.
wheelchair doing something crazy.
Yeah.
And like. I don't know. There's a lot of like similarities within everyone's work, but then you're right. It's like you see something and you don't know why, but you can tell exactly like who took that photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do a thing where I put I put a like crazy filter on all of my photos that I took, and I'd do it in such a way where I would increase the contrast in order to make it look sharper, because the camera that I was using wasn't that great. This
Yeah.
is mostly digital when I was doing this, but I had to take a step back because everything started to look really
Crunchy.
just not good.
Yeah.
And then you see like it's like when older people first get into digital photography, and they start doing high
Oh my God, the
dynamic
HDR.
range.
Oh my goodness.
Older people love HDR.
Okay, every time me and Britt go to somewhere like, Bisbee, Jerome, there's always some older person with a gallery.
Yeah.
And like respect to them because they have their own gallery and they're doing their thing and they're making money. But at the same time, I agree with you guys. It's almost always like
Why is that?
high
Like,
def HDR, like
Yeah.
as colorful as it gets. And it's like, okay, are we really pushing everything that far? Like, does it need to be that crunchy and colorful?
Yeah.
Britt is smiling because she
Yeah.
knows exactly. Every time we go into one, I tell her, I'm like, look at this. Why did they do that? And why? But whatever, it's taste. So you
Yeah.
gotta let them do their
yeah,
thing.
everybody does it. But we did notice it. The older crowd
It is.
loves
It
it.
is the older
loves
crowd.
it. Yeah. You know what? Maybe it's because your eyes go. Like as a person that's starting to get up there in
Maybe.
age,
Ooh,
my
that's-
eyes are starting to like kind of conk out on me.
That is a good
That
point.
might be
I-
it. Maybe your eyes just get a little wonky.
Yeah,
It's
I
like-
never
have
really
to,
thought
like-
about it that way. And now
Yeah.
that
You
I'm
need
making
to-
fun of them, I
you
feel
need to
a little
adjust. You need to adjust it a bit.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's just kind of like with older ladies who wear the perfume that's super
That's
super
strong,
strong. Oh my
or guys,
gosh.
old guys like that
Yep,
as well.
Yeah.
yep. You lose your sense of smell, and you don't have any
Wow.
context of like how much you're putting on.
I think we just
we may have figured it out.
I was just gonna say
Breakthrough.
that. I think we just broke through something here.
HDR
We figured it out.
trends. It's
when that
it's
first
funny.
became a thing, though. Wow, that was like everywhere.
And wait, I just want to add to it. They're almost always printed on like silver plate,
Yeah.
like
Yep,
yep,
hard
yep.
metal or like glass or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is such a
something weird.
vibe. I feel
If
like
they're listening, we're not making fun of you. We're
Yeah.
just making observations.
Yep.
no, absolutely. Every tourist town you go to has that shop.
100%. Yeah.
Like everywhere,
Yeah.
anywhere you go in the country, if you go to, there's that tourist shop exists and it has that work.
Goldfield Ghost Town, which is, I mean, technically a tourist spot, but really it's just like a little,
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe I guess it is like a tourist trap.
Yeah, oh
but
yeah.
even there, like they have the same thing. You go into the gallery and there's steel plates on the wall with like super HDR photos.
Yep.
So funny. Oh,
That's so strange.
that light spooked me.
Yeah.
We have our lights on a timer.
We have them on a timer, so our lights
Oh.
just pop. We normally do our podcast and we turn the lights down low,
Fancy.
make it moody. No overhead lights.
Yeah, turn it back off, Dan.
I'm turning it. We're going. There we go. Sweet.
Oh yeah, way better.
The podcast listeners are unaffected by this. But,
Yeah, they don't even
But
know.
we are.
Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. My bad.
But yeah, photography and the trends, all the trends.
There's so many trends that happen. Do you ever?
Yeah.
You seem pretty traditional for most of what you shoot.
Yeah, I don't really like when people ask me what I shoot. I don't really know what to tell them because it's a lot of just like. Well, you sent me. I asked you like who was like sending or not who was sending a question, but like is there any good questions for me or whatever? Because I was interested and just so I could have like a little bit of like
Yeah.
something to like go off of. But when KJ said
I
pseudo street style or whatever she said,
let me read the question. I actually have it right here.
yeah.
I wrote it down. So KJ Herb did submit a question, and it was between the spontaneous street style shoot and the methodical marketing photography style of photography. What does Dino prefer?
Yeah. And I am going to get to that question, but I think like the way she put it, spontaneous street style is like such a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Because like I always try and tell people like I shoot a lot of abandoned stuff, or I used to shoot a lot of abandoned stuff until I made the third book. But spontaneous street style is definitely like the best kind of, word you could put to it.
Yeah.
Because it is more or less like, me and Britt will go on vacation, or I'll go on a vacation with Connor, or a photo trip or something like that. And the main objective is just shoot interesting stuff. It doesn't have to be anything like in particular. It's just very spontaneous, like KJ said. And so I actually really like that she put it that way. Because I don't know, like there's no point to like, at least to me, there's no point in me like honing in on like one thing. I would much rather like kind of be a jack of all trades at all of the photography styles.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm not very good at like street, like I'm not gonna get in someone's face on the road.
Same.
And like
Can't do it.
Yeah, I can't do it. And like respect to everyone that can. There's at least in the valley there's Eldon who does a little bit. Kobe does a lot of it.
Yeah.
Eric has some of the craziest street photos I've ever seen. He like, I don't even know, they have, for lack of a better word, they got balls.
Yeah.
Because I cannot jump in front of someone with a flash
Yeah.
like in my hand. I just can't. But I can't shoot people, standing in front of a building that I enjoy. And I tell people all the time, buildings are much easier to work with than models.
Yes.
Buildings and cars are just the easiest thing to work with because I have full control of what I'm doing and what the subject is doing because the subject never moves.
Right.
Unless maybe it's a moving car. But like there's been very few times that I've caught a moving car at the perfect time.
Yeah.
But yeah, spontaneous street style, I think.
Yeah.
Going back to the question. What was the question again though? Her question? Should we answer that?
So I think she was basically looking at the difference between like, because your style is loose, but then you have this very methodical marketing photography that you do for your day job.
Yeah, so for those who don't know that are listening, I work at Black Rock Coffee Bar as their lead marketing photographer. So the majority of what I do there, just to kind of, because obviously most people will know I'm a film photographer from this, but majority of what I do there is like shooting drinks on white backdrops, so product photography, and then any retail items, stuff like that. A lot of lifestyle photography with the drinks, and then a lot of like campaign shooting. So, if we just did our fall campaign last week where we rented out like a 70s studio, and we bring all our ingredients. We have paid models, and it's all, like she said, very methodical, where it's planned to a T. And some shoots don't always go that way, but for the most part, everything is planned out to a T. And even like shooting drinks, like I have a whole very efficient way to do it where I've like streamlined it so that like one drink only takes me 30 minutes from start to finish. So
Nice.
you shoot the drink, you throw it in Lightroom, you edit it up to make it look nice, and then I take it into Photoshop and then I cut it out almost like a sticker.
Yeah.
And then the designers can take that sticker and put it wherever they want. So we have like an
Yeah.
entire drink library. So in terms of like what I like shooting the most, I would say probably the film stuff, because it's like I said, like I have more control over a building or a car
Yeah.
than I do like a model holding a drink. It's so difficult, and it is methodical, but it's only to a point. Like you can only plan it out so far. I do love like product photography though. Like it is one of those things where I didn't think I would love because I thought it would be super boring. But as soon as I started doing it, I was like, oh my God, this is just like shooting buildings. The drink doesn't move. I don't have to tell the drink to raise their hand this way because it doesn't have hands. But yeah, like I think I probably would just lean towards the film photography stuff and that like spontaneous style. It's a lot more fun to shoot that way too.
So
like,
is your personal work mostly film, and then
Yeah,
your work stuff's mostly digital?
exactly.
It's pretty split.
I don't shoot digital at all for personal
Okay,
stuff. So
okay.
I don't even own a digital camera anymore. All I have is my film cameras. If I really need to do something digital on my own, like I'll just ask to use the work camera.
Work camera.
But that has never happened. So
You ever
yeah.
tried to sneak the film into the work stuff?
we had the fall shoot that we just did. Actually, it got requested by one of our kind of like our senior marketing manager, Nicole. She was like, okay, we're in this really cool 70s pad. We've done film before on like a point and shoot level, but this is like one of those spaces where we should like crank it up a notch. And so she was like, I'm going to go out and buy you film. You just tell me what to get. And so I was like, go get CineStill 400D and 120 and we'll make it work. And, we shoot digital the entire shoot, but as soon as you get a shot or a setup with a model that you really like, you plug
Flip over.
you plug the flash sync onto the film camera, and then you just do the same shot, the same settings, and it comes out the same way. The only difference is like the look of the film.
Yeah.
And so like I got those film photos back, I think the next day after we shot.
Oh, heck.
Strap is fast.
Strap's really fast.
Strap is fast.
Yeah,
Like
that's what
I
I've
mean,
heard.
like I don't have sides, and I like to go like utilize everyone. But Strap is really fast, and especially like when we're shooting something for work, like I need it ASAP.
You need it quick, yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait like a week or 3 or 4 days, or and we can't send it somewhere because it's gonna take even longer.
Yeah.
But Strap has been so fast lately, so we're just like, we'll just go with them. I got them back. They came out really nice. I did a little editing to them. And also anyone out there that says you shouldn't edit your film photos is wrong. And sorry if that's either one of you
No,
guys.
I think it's completely fine.
Yeah,
Oh, that's what I mean. Even Ansel Adams
Yeah.
edited his photos. I mean,
exactly.
there's no anybody who says you can't edit photos. No.
It's wrong. Well, and also
Yeah,
like
you can do whatever you want with your photos.
exactly, they're your photos. Like you should be able to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I guess press photography is where it gets a little iffy because then you start modifying stuff.
You don't want to modify
Well, yeah, you
the
don't want
narrative.
to be
Yeah.
using the healing tool on Photoshop on something that is as important as like a press photo of a president
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a little
You can-
misleading.
yeah,
You can't
don't-
doctor. I think doctoring is different than editing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take people out of my film photos. I should have just waited for that person to walk out of the frame. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
as a personal photographer, you could do that.
yeah,
If you're a press photographer or something,
yeah.
you can't change the narrative of the photos. Like that's a little weird. They do.
Oh, that's 100% weird. Yeah, that shouldn't happen.
Morally, they shouldn't, but they do, I'm sure. But yeah, as
Yeah.
an individual doing your own photos, like
Yeah.
if you have someone in the background, have at it.
That was like a big thing on Twitter, like kind of when like the film community on Twitter was getting really big around like 2020 and 2021. Was like people were really just bickering back and forth, like, oh, this doesn't look like Portrait 400 or this doesn't look like 50D or whatever. But it's like, dude, it's 2024. Like, I don't know what world you're living in.
You're
Like,
already using film in a way that it wasn't made to be
Exactly.
done anyway because you're scanning it.
You just
it
posted
wasn't
it on Twitter.
It wasn't supposed to be
digital.
scanned in the first place. It says print right there on the box.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be that way anyway. You're already doing it a way
Yeah.
that it's not traditionally.
Well, the other
what it-
argument
you know.
too is that when you're viewing it on a device, you have no control over the device that people have.
Yeah, compression and color shift, like all that stuff happens, especially on Instagram. Like, it's never going to look the exact way you want it. I mean, it'll change slightly as soon as you post it because they're compressing it to put on their program. But like, yeah, if you want your really blue, Ektachrome 100 to be really orange, freaking have at it,
Yeah,
dude.
go
Like,
for it.
slide that freaking orange slider all the way to the right.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's art. There's no rules. In art.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that is the best way to put it. It's art. There's no rules.
There's no rules in art. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to know like the basic rules, but you can totally break them.
If you're putting rules around yourself in art, I don't think you're challenging yourself enough.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff come through my day job. I work at ImageCraft, and like
You do printing,
it's-
right? Like that's what it is.
Yeah, we do pretty much printing. So we do fine art photography, and then we also do commercial work.
Mm-hmm.
So commercial work's like, stuff for the Suns or, basketball
Oh
teams,
yeah.
restaurants, any sort of signage that you can think of. We pretty much do. But I've seen some stuff come through on the art end of things that I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. But yeah, I don't know.
But it's
Art's-
art, Dan. So
I know.
come on, dude.
I know.
So that's the thing with art. Art's subjective.
Just
is.
because it's an HDR freaking old
the-
person photo.
You know, right? Well, that's the other thing too, is like it comes through this shop, which means that somebody bought it.
Yeah.
Which kind of blows my mind, because some of the stuff I'm just like, okay, that's
Art is
different.
also subjective.
Well, I mean, I never thought I would sell like 300 books, but
Yeah.
I was definitely that person where I was like, no one's gonna buy this, dude. And then sure enough, like people were buying it. And I was like, holy crap! Like,
Yeah.
there's a platform out there for you to sell your art. You just have to freaking do it. Like,
And honestly, I think that's a big thing too, is that there's so many people out there that don't bother making the attempt to do that.
yeah,
And there's just so much potential there for some people, and it's like, just go a little bit further. Like,
yeah.
you need a handler to help you get through and just make it
Yeah.
happen.
It's
sometimes.
hard though too, because then we talk about this a lot. A lot of artists don't have the, a lot of people tend to be ADHD. They tend to be a little autistic, a little on the spectrum in some way. A lot of artists, and that personality, with a organized type A, business style personality, are very different personalities.
Yeah,
and it's
they are.
rare that you get both. And it's hard a lot of the time. It's either, a lot of the time, at least that in our experience that we've seen, a lot of people swing very hard on one of
on
those
one
sides.
side, yeah, exactly.
My day job's a corporate day job, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a very specific personality that's 100% like way different than the personalities I see coming through the lab.
Yeah.
So I think when people have to take those extra steps to market themselves, to market books,
Yeah.
you have to have this blend of like
Yeah,
that in you, or you have to have
100%.
someone else helping you.
Yeah, I think that is 100% true, because even with the first book, I knew as soon as I was like doing layout and like setting out photos, I was like, I'm going to have to sell this. And like, I've never done that on my own. Like, obviously I've worked for corporate companies. Like I've worked for Dutch, and I've worked for electrical contractors where I'm doing marketing photography. So I'm kind of in that like world already, and I'm a little used to like trying to sell things. But even with that first book, I was like, oh shoot, like I'm on my own and no one is helping me, and I got to figure out how to like sell all these copies. And like, luckily enough, I did, but it does take a while. Like you're not going to sell them in a day.
Yeah.
You have to keep on it and keep marketing, and like it's another job, like basically trying to sell something that you're making, unless you have like some sort of print shop that's passive income or something like that. But anything like a book, like if you don't have a website that you're shipping them off of,
Yeah,
you got to knock door to door, basically. Like,
yeah, it's that, or you bombard everybody on your social media.
Yeah.
And then, you start seeing your follower count drop because people are like, I don't want to see this anymore.
Oh yeah,
But-
I went through that. That is not fun either, because you grow a nice little family or a little community, and then
Yeah.
you start peddling stuff to them, and they slowly trickle away. But
Yeah.
the ones that stay and the ones that buy are the ones you want. I mean, like,
Yeah.
not that you're always going to be selling to them, but if someone's going to buy, like, you want those
Yeah.
people around.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for sure.
It is.
Got to be a
Yeah.
self promoter, which
Yeah.
which is hard for some people, and especially photography. Photography is a very solitary thing.
gosh, yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are photographers that are very awkward, very not social creatures, and
Yeah.
that's why they like photography, because they're by themselves all the time.
Yeah. And some
So you
people
have to
thrive by
gotta
themselves.
put yourself out there for
Yeah.
that. You have to self promote.
That's why I love like the photo walks and stuff, because you are kind of forced to like
Yes.
come out of that solitary like moment that you typically
And I-
have when you're shooting
Yeah,
on your
I feel
app.
like a lot
Absolutely.
of people want to as well. It's kind of one of those things where you don't really have the opportunity to connect with other photographers.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you do technically, but it's like, how do I go about connecting with
It's
some
so
You
much
do
person?
online, but
Yeah.
when in person, it's definitely a different beast to take on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of social anxiety that goes on, especially for people you don't know or you haven't met, and maybe you've followed them for a while, or they followed you, and
Yeah.
like there's always that social anxiety. I feel like though, once you're there and you're like talking,
Yeah,
it becomes like
just,
way less.
It gives you an excuse to come out. You don't have to do anything. You just have to show
Yeah.
up, and you don't have to worry about making the initiative.
It's
and,
the
like,
walk to the door that's the worst, right? It's just
Yeah.
like once you get to the door, just open the
Exactly.
door, you're fine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yep, and that's what we hear from most people that come. They're like, most people don't even come to take photos on the photo walks and the
Yeah.
gatherings. They come and they just want
hang.
to talk to everybody else and like see
Yeah.
what everybody else is doing.
I've done that a couple times where I come to the photo walk with like a point and shoot or maybe two, and I don't even shoot a photo
Yep.
because
That's
I've just been talking the whole
super
time.
common. Yeah, a lot of people are like,
Yeah.
I barely took any photos.
Stacy's got to throw stuff at me to tell me to, all right, talk to the next person.
Yeah.
So I'll
Yeah, move
ultimately
on,
get an
man.
older guy to come over and just pin me down and start talking for like an hour straight,
Dan and old guys for some reason, like
Yep.
if they like
like a
this
magnet.
Have they
Like
sold you some HDR photos?
magnet.
Yeah, right.
I'm just gonna keep
Just
bringing
about,
that up.
yeah.
But Dan cannot escape the conversations with people that he gets stuck on sometimes. And
Yeah.
I'm like, Dan. I'm like
Yeah,
I'm like waving over in the corner
as
at
the
him.
business owner, you gotta
Yep.
like know when to fold your
Yep.
cards and move to the next person.
You gotta-
you know?
yeah.
Pretty much.
exactly.
I gotta spread my love around.
Yeah.
yeah. We've had a few events where Dan's been in the corner for the entire event, and I've been like running around, and my hair's like flying out, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
He's like, I'm enlarging a photo. Come on, dude.
He's like talking to one dude like the whole night.
Yeah.
Like, you can say bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But coming out and connecting with people in the community is really
Yeah,
important.
it's so
I feel.
nice. It's so
Yeah.
special to have that, and I'm always happy to see any event that's happening, even beyond what we are doing, because we only have so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anytime anyone does anything, I'm like, yes. I'm like, do it.
Yeah, I know. I
Do
mean,
it.
like, well, I mean, obviously before Stacy came into the picture too,
Yep.
like Dan was kind of holding it down for everyone. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, like I was saying, like my group of friends was just like on their own shooting where we would just go do stuff. But like now that it's all everyone has kind of
Yeah.
joined together, like all the different little groups and factions of film photographers have kind of joined, and now we're all like friends in a weird, like roundabout type of way. Like we
Yeah.
all kind of know each other now.
Yeah.
Even if we're not like super.
I think
friendly.
every film photographer knows each other in Phoenix.
Oh yeah, if you don't, you must be living under a rock or something.
Yeah, there's probably a few of
Because
them. They're hiding out. They've never shown up, or they
Maybe
don't put
there
their
is
stuff out.
Yeah.
a Vivian Meyer. Or
There
two.
is. They're
Yeah.
not putting anything online.
Yeah.
They're just shooting, and that's it. That's all.
Well,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that person's stuff in 90 years.
Yeah.
I know it's probably
Crazy.
amazing. We probably got some crazy photographers here, but yeah, no. I mean, we have it's weird the way I always talk about Phoenix being this weird place where it's like a city, but you run into people you know all the time, which is no other city I've ever lived in like that. But the film community is pretty tight. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It seems like everybody kind of knows everybody. I know everyone we have on the podcast knows other people.
Yeah, I mean, we're all
we've
talking
had.
about each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Connor was on. You're friends with Connor.
Connor was
Yeah,
on.
Connor's my
We're
best
having
friend.
Yeah.
we're having what's his name on? Some snap.
Some snaps
Slim.
gonna be on.
He's going to be
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
talked him into it.
James is on.
Another one of my really good friends.
We had Lucinda, and then it was Lucinda and then Ryan,
And they became friends.
and then they became friends and they hang out and
Yep.
go shooting together.
Yep.
They shoot such similar stuff that makes perfect sense.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he shoots. It's funny because Ryan's like big thing was saguaros, and,
Swaros,
like,
yeah.
cactus.
Yeah.
And I'm like you would think that there would be a little bit more diversity there, but it's like a lot of cactus.
Yeah, but
So
there's
it's like
many
that's
ways to shoot a cactus. You know?
There is.
It's true. That's
Yeah.
his jam. I'm like, I
Yeah.
respect it. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm not the cactus guy. I probably don't expect to see many cactus photos from me. I think I have one good one that I really like, and I take a ton, but I
Yeah.
would never post them because I'm just like, I can't, like, it's just not my thing.
yeah,
And I
It'd be a
don't know
little-
how to edit them, or I don't know.
Yeah,
I've started appreciating taking photos of like cactus and things. It feels because when I'm doing it, it feels cliche. Because I'm like, I'm here, everyone's taking pictures
Yeah,
of
yeah,
cactuses.
you live here.
But then I start thinking, no, we're in an area of the world that no one else has this. It's
Yep.
it's
I
a
tell
very
Britt that all
small
the time.
place. No one sees this view. This
Yeah.
is like a thing that's very specific to us.
It is.
And someday, like Phoenix is going to fire in a big fireball. No one's going to live here. It's a thing, It's
Yeah,
like
enjoy
so
it while
I've
we
started to
can.
realize like I should be appreciating the fact that I'm here right now and the fact that these exist here
yeah.
because they really don't exist anywhere else.
No, I mean, they don't. And it's really only a portion of our state, which is even crazier.
yeah, very
So,
very small
I
portion.
mean, everyone listening that's from Arizona, you're very lucky to be a film photographer living in a place that only has
yeah,
this one plant in the entire world in this one place.
People travel here from all over to
Yeah.
get those photos because they don't have them. So you think of like kind of the scope of the world and the fact that we have them.
We just had a fire, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. Maybe not that long. And there was almost 1 million acres that burned.
Was that the one like up north a little bit?
Yeah.
Like kind of like Beeline Highway?
Off the
Yeah.
Beeline,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Such a
and
mess.
it's still recovering out
The
there.
highway is still closed out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still pretty brown. It's not black anymore. It's not singed, but it's definitely brown out there. We just drove out there not too long ago to go to
Yeah.
Happy Jack.
Yeah. It's crazy having Saguaros burn like that. But
Yeah, it sucks.
yeah.
Although it'd be kind of cool to get a burning saguaro photo.
Oh my god.
I wouldn't want to get out there.
Roasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have like the storm chaser friends like that, get the monsoons, which is kind of specific as well to here. But like I can imagine like
That'd be a
getting
trip to get a photo though of a saguaro on fire.
That would be I tell you what, boy, that would be the photo of the year if you shot that happening.
Yeah, we need to start putting cameras in firefighters' hands. I know they're very busy.
I was gonna say,
I don't know if they have any
they
time.
don't have time.
But like, why you're busy doing that, trying to like save the whole entire thing? Can you just take a couple?
Like,
Well, how about you just go out while they're doing it and then be like,
Dangerous.
"Can I come with you?"
I don't want to be anywhere near that.
really?
Those guys are crazy.
How is he gonna get the photo though? You gotta,
I know.
You gotta risk it for the biscuit.
you gotta have a special fire rating on your camera so it doesn't melt the.
Oh yeah, I
melt
forgot
the
about
film.
that. I forgot about that. All these plastic foam cameras.
I had an amazing photo that I took years ago, and I somehow lost it. It was digital, and I lived in Edgewater, New Jersey, and there's like a weird factory. There's like kind of, if you know Edgewater, New Jersey, it's right along the Hudson River, and there's like one road that goes through the whole town. And it's right on the river, and there was like a big factory, and there was this very, very old cemetery. And there was a fire of a complex that was behind it. Ooh. So the complex was on fire and there's flames. And then I was in the cemetery and I had photos that I was taking from. So it was the cemetery with flames in the background of it. It was
I can
amazing.
picture it in my head. It sounds awesome.
I have no idea what happened to the photos.
Oh, you don't even have them?
I don't have them. I don't know what happened
my
to them. They were
goodness.
digital.
Should've
so
shot it
there
on
was
film.
I know.
Yeah,
have the
I would have
negatives.
had the negatives. But I was like, man, they were cool. Like that was
That
just
when you were saying it, I was just picturing it like as if I was there. I feel like as all film photographers do.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I could see it and I was like, damn, that sounds badass.
yeah,
legit.
yeah. There's some stuff I was like,
That's
but
so
yeah,
sad, though.
film would have been amazing for that kind of shot.
gotta
But at the
find-
same time, you're like, that's someone's house burning down right there.
Yeah, I kind
There's
of
some
feel bad
stuff
for
that
saying
you
that
take.
sounds
You
awesome.
take photos of some stuff, or you see things that you want to take photos of, and you're like, I don't know if I want to. This feels very predatory, and I
That-
don't want to. Someone's misery. It's kind of like the homeless photo.
100%.
You know?
That's what I was gonna say. Is that's kind of like a pain point for me because every once in a while I do shoot people on the street and. Sometimes you see something you want to shoot and then you're like, well, should I actually, is it right for me to actually shoot that? And like
Yeah.
this person in this state. And generally I lean towards no. And I usually just don't shoot that. But there are film photographers that just go for it and like more power to you. But
Yeah,
I
right.
personally don't want the
I feel
backlash.
like the people that do it, they lean into it.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
There's
yeah.
one guy, we actually had him on our previous podcast with Danny, Ryan Barr, and I actually interviewed him. He was actually there during the Hong Kong protests,
Oh, dang.
which was 2016, 2017.
Yeah, I think 2016 or something
And
like that.
like he was out shooting that sort of stuff, and then he moved back to the U.S. and he's just up the street from us in his space, off of Grand. But really awesome guy, and he came through last November for our Grand Ave Festival thing, and sold some magazines that were like street photography. And he's got, you can see in the photos they're not like predatory or taking pictures of somebody sitting on the sidewalk that's like feels wrong. Like all the images that he has are like obviously the person wants to be photographed.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like his tattoos and stuff, but there's definitely a way to do it. But
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want to be exploitive.
Yeah, I think
you don't
that's
want to
the
like,
big thing.
yeah.
oh, look at this guy. He had an overdose on the street. He's
Yeah.
dying. Let me
That's
take a
where I
photo
draw
and
the
let me
line.
sell this print.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
I think also too, like selling something like that, I don't really agree with. But like I said, like I'm not one to judge. Like
Yeah.
if you want to
Yeah.
sell your
but
work,
at the
sell
same
your
time,
work,
it's like
but-
things like that. It's like there should be some documentation of this crisis that we're having here.
Yeah. It's
And
still
it's
happening.
like without people videoing it and without people
Yeah,
taking
you don't
photos
know
of
it's
it,
gonna
you don't know it's happening.
Yeah.
I've been following a guy in LA. I forget his username. I don't know he must be in with the police, but he's like taking raw video of people overdosing and dead
man.
people and car accidents
Yeah.
and just like aggressive stuff. But at the same time, if you don't have people doing that, do you know it's happening?
Well, it's kind of similar with war photography, right? Like
Yeah.
World War II and World War One, like photographers being sent out there to go basically just document whatever happens.
Yep.
And like whatever happens is some of the darkest stuff you've ever seen, and they have to capture it. So
Yeah.
like I said, more power to them. Like that stuff needs to be captured. I think to an extent. I don't think, everyday life, someone ODing on the street, being
Yeah.
taken by a street
Yeah.
photographer needs to happen. But someone who's like accredited and has the right to do that for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely
they
not
have-
sensationalized, but
Yeah.
I don't want to say,
recognized.
I also don't want to say like, don't shoot that stuff if like whoever's listening is a person that likes to shoot that stuff. But,
yeah,
just
it's
be
your jam.
careful with how you shoot it, I guess.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
maybe lend a helping hand if someone is like really
Yeah.
injured. Like don't just shoot the photo and walk away.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's the
But-
scary thing when you see something happening and everyone pulls out the camera instead
Yeah,
of helping the person.
It's kind of like similar to
Yeah.
that, where it's like, a high school fight, everyone brings out all the kids like pull up their camera
Oh,
phones
yeah.
rather than like trying to help their friends, which is wild. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's just
That's
the
human
nature.
nature.
Yeah.
I mean, it's reality.
Yeah.
very, very scary.
Photography
That's the
can
thing.
get super dark. It's so weird. There's like these little ins and outs of photography, like that
Yeah.
a lot of people think about, which is like kind of what we're talking about. But
Yeah. I don't know. I think outside of doing random shots and like that sort of thing, I shoot portraits, and portraits are fun because it's like, okay, pose, all right, boom, just your face, and that's it. But I don't know. That's my thing. It's easy.
Mr. Portrait Man.
It's
Portraits
easy.
of people, faces,
Yeah.
but
I mean, everybody has a different style. I mean, but yeah, I mean, some stuff it's like it does run on the edge of.
Oh yeah.
I feel okay about this. I mean, I even get questionable sometimes, even with like some buildings that I take photos of.
Really?
Like sometimes there's like houses I like a lot of decay and like a lot of that kind of sort of style.
Yeah.
Anything that's sort of decaying. But if it's like a house that I know someone's living in,
Well, yeah,
and
okay,
it's
that's-
like
Yeah.
that's a hoarder house, and they got all the crap on the front porch, and you can tell they're not doing so well mentally in there.
Yeah.
Like I feel like is that weird?
That's one of those ones, because obviously I shoot a lot of that stuff too. That's one of those ones where it's like shoot but don't post. Keep for yourself,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't post. Like doesn't need to have the world's eyes on it.
Yeah.
That person
Yeah.
doesn't need to
'Cause
be.
visually super interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like that line of like,
Yeah.
what is this? Am I?
I think that's something that goes in like a very like thematic like photo book or some sort of like zine that like calls
Yeah.
for that situation.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
It's like that's definitely a dilemma I think we all run across. Is like, should I be shooting this? Should I not? And then you just kind of have to weigh kind of how it's gonna be perceived once you take it or if you post
Yeah.
it. So
yeah. I went through and took pictures of my parents' house, and like I mentioned before, my mom likes to hoard stuff, and I was like, you know what, I felt uncomfortable about the space, but I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go through and just take pictures just to have, because I can look back at it and be like, oh, that's what I lived there, during that time.
Yeah.
So, but
And that's your family.
yeah, I
and
was gonna
that's
say
you.
that's
Yeah, it's a
something
little
for
different.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like piece of
you get kind of free reign to do that. I have the same
Yeah.
kind of situation. Like I didn't grow up there, but the house that my father and my grandmother lived in, there's a farm out
Mm-hmm.
in Pennsylvania. And the farmhouse legitimately looks like a horror house. It looks like you could put it into a horror movie today. You wouldn't have to do any set decoration whatsoever. Because it's just like a nightmare
you'd
there.
have to clean it up a little bit.
You'd have to clean it up a little bit to make it less scary.
Yeah.
There's like, there's rooms in the house that are filled with dolls.
Were you gonna say demonic?
Maybe there's some
A little bit of that too.
there's a wall at one point in the house that's like completely boarded up, and it's got like it's nailed in, like so
yeah,
you
that's
can't
a
get
little
into
spooky.
it. And there's scratch marks on doors.
Yeah, maybe.
Literally,
I
I'm
wouldn't
not
be
kidding.
walking into
There's
that.
No, thank
boxes
you.
of dolls. Like I'll have to dig the photos up. I'll post them on my Instagram so you guys can, if you go back into my, I'm Santa typed on Instagram. If you go back into my Instagram, I'll post up. So there's some reference here. It's scary as hell.
Yeah.
Interesting as well though for photos. It's like,
Well,
wow.
yeah.
But if I wasn't related to these people, there's no way I'd feel comfortable taking these photos and posting them, because I'm like, this is like the work of like, I don't know what minds spit. I mean, they're little
know.
strange people, but if that was somebody I was not personally related to, I don't know if I'd be super comfortable
Yeah.
posting the photos, like taking them
Yeah.
maybe, but posting them, I'd be like, is this okay? Because there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
So
For the archives.
For
Yeah.
the archives. Yeah, exactly. Everyone should have a good archive going.
Yep.
yeah.
What do you guys use? Because I use Dropbox to keep all my like digital film files.
So
That
for
sounds weird to say digital film files, but I mean, that's basically what they are.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
We put everything into binders for our negatives.
Okay, yeah.
And then so basically trim and sleeve them into 8x10, 8.5 by 11 sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then digitize them. Stacey actually goes through and prints.
I don't really scan. I print
you
almost
print.
everything.
Okay, yeah.
I do darkroom almost everything, and
Yeah.
anything that you see on my Instagram is a scan of darkroom print, which is
Okay.
easier and they look better. So
Yeah,
I do
mean,
it that way.
Printing does.
Except for
look better.
color, but I don't shoot a lot of color. I shoot almost
Yeah, you
no
shoot
color.
a lot of black
It's
and white.
almost all black and white.
Yeah.
But I
Color
like the
would be a
versatility.
nightmare to try and do that.
Yeah,
so.
I
Oh my
like the
gosh.
versatility of
I
black
remember
and
us
white.
trying to print that cat and Cadillac
was-
photo. We did like 9 times just to get the
Color.
color right.
I
Yep.
felt so bad. I was like, well, 4 hours later, time to go.
No, it was fun. I had a good time doing that because I
Yeah.
had never watched that process and just like learning how you like had to like filter out certain colors.
It's-
And
it's
we would
a
get to a
trip.
point where it would be like super green, and then we would change it from there, and then all of a sudden it'd be like super yellow, and be like, okay, what the hell is going on?
And that's the thing too, is like when you scan your film, like you're creating a digital version, you're compressing the image, and now you're basically changing the color as well, because technically it's a negative, so it's actually backwards of what you see.
Yeah.
As opposed to a slide, where a slide is actually true to what
positive,
it is.
Yeah.
So, and then scanning slides is a challenge, but best thing to do is sleeve it and then archive it digitally. I use
Yeah.
Dropbox for everything.
Yeah.
And then I actually just recently bought some smaller hard drives that are
Yeah.
on sale.
We
So-
back it up. Yeah, I got
Yeah, that's what I do
backs
as
up on my
well.
thing. But it's nice. I like film because you got you have the film, which is your master.
Mm-hmm.
You should always have the film. We throw this out all the time. If you do get
Yep.
a lab to do your film and you don't develop yourself, pick up your film. As much as you think you got a nice scan from the lab, what do you think a scan might look like in 20 years?
Yeah, exactly.
It could be very different. We have people that come through the lab like, yeah, we had like a family thing, and then it was like when scanning it just started, and then they got rid of the negatives. We had a guy come in not too long ago and said that he's like, oh yeah, like in the 90s we scanned, and he's like, the difference in what scans look like now, and we threw the negatives out because we did all the scans.
Yeah.
And they were terrible
Well,
scans.
It's not just that, it's that the compression of what you have, the colors change.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily just the resolution, it's where the color is. And if you maintain your archive really well, you can get your basic, that's your raw film. That's like the raw
Yeah.
data essentially.
Well, it's like a
Yeah.
musician, like Stacy said, it's your master. Like,
Yeah.
or I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
maybe one of you said
Absolutely
that,
keep
but
it.
like
Yeah.
it is your master. Like if you own your master, no one's gonna be able to
yeah.
rip you off because you can say, no, I'm the one that physically owns this piece,
Exactly.
and whoever just posted that image is fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm kind of like in the middle. Like I don't save all of my negatives. I definitely don't save any of my 35 mil. That's just because 35 mil doesn't cut it for me. Like
Yeah.
120 is my bread and butter. That's mostly what I shoot. So like I have, for each book I've done, I've kept a binder with every negative from every photo in each book.
Yeah.
And then even the extras that didn't make the book. So like I like having those,
Yeah.
but 35, I mean,
Yeah.
I know
That's hard.
you guys said you should save them all, but I'm like, just toss them, dude. I don't care.
I know. 35.
As long as you get good scans and then you archive them really well. That's
Yeah.
a big thing too, is that at least do that, because it's kind of crazy. I have film that I shot back in high school, but at the same time I had a digital camera, and it was actually a pretty decent, like 8 megapixel, which was
Decent.
decent, which was decent at the time. So a lot of them were like 3 and 5,
Yeah.
but I don't have any of my digital photos
Dang.
because I
No
was-
proper storage.
yeah, I was using my
Yeah.
dad's computer, and then my dad, had a virus, and then got a new computer, and then it's like
Things
okay,
get wiped so easily.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he did save some of that stuff onto CDs, but then the CDs disappear,
Oh.
and then
CDs don't last very long.
No, yeah.
yeah, and they
CDs always run
yeah,
away.
yeah, you put them out in the heat, and they flake off, and
Yeah.
it destroys it. So, I don't have any digital files, but I still have the film. And
There you go.
I will say that I left some of that film out in the heat, and so some of the film's
Damn.
damaged. I know.
You're the film guy. Why are you leaving your film? in
I
the heat,
know. I learned my lesson though.
We're a do as we say, not as we do. People.
dude? yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I always tell people like, like this is what you should do, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we all are in film. It's
Yep.
like, yo, like, you
Yeah.
know, this is what everyone says you should do, but really just do it however you want, however it's
Yeah.
familiar and easy for you. Like, that's just the way you should be doing
Yeah,
it.
everybody finds their way, and everybody does it so differently.
Yeah.
Though we have some friends that are like, we always bring you up Venecia, like he loves it.
Yep.
But if you talk to David or you look at David's work, he does everything very meticulous from start to finish, all the way from like figuring out his photo shoots to he scanned. What was the number? He had some
Oh, it's some
crazy number
crazy-
he's into now, and he does camera scanning. And
Yeah, he's digitally scanned upwards of
thousands and
It's in like the
thousands.
20,000
Oh,
or
yeah.
60,000.
My
I
lord.
forget
it's
exactly.
a lot. It's a lot, but
I
everything.
want to say it's around 20,000.
He's meticulous about everything and how he finds things and how it's all labeled, and like
Jeez.
he's
But
just
he
like
got-
that. And then other people are so loose, and it's like you know, all over the place.
Yeah.
He's a little bit disorganized with some of his stuff. Like, I will say that
He's
his-
the most organized person I know. So
yeah,
I'm gonna.
That's true.
David, you're,
He's
you're
the
right.
most
up there.
organized film
Shout out
photographer we know.
to David too. Today he had to get rabies shots.
Oh, yeah.
let's throw it out. Like
Goodness.
let's pour a little out for David and his rabies shots.
He's going to Virginia.
He's in Virginia.
Decided to get out of his car because he saw some dogs and one of them bit him. So
He
Dang.
rescued 2 puppies today, though, so we got to give him that. He rescued 2 puppies, but the mom apparently was not happy about that, and he got bit. So he got the rabies shot. So
Should have just poured a little Blix on it. You'd have been fine.
I know
Yeah.
you'd be fine. That's what we say. We always say the bucket
Yep.
because we
Yeah.
have the bucket at the lab, and it just collects every kind of
Oh,
process
yeah.
that we're having. I'm like that bucket.
That's
Ooh.
a good question that I have for you guys because I have
Yeah.
chemicals. And let me just say to all the film photographers out there, please don't pour your chemicals down the sink. Like, that is bad. And I don't know what you guys do, but I need to figure out where to put my old chemicals, like where to dispose of them.
well, there's
Don't tell me you pour them down the sink.
so we don't run enough film to
Oh, okay.
to justify it,
So
but
you just,
so that's the thing
It
that's
depends on the chemicals. And
Yeah.
well,
you're
yeah,
doing.
but you don't want to like.
Most of the problem is the fixer. It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
silver. That's the problem. If you run a lab, you should be reclaiming your silver. You're running enough through there.
Yeah.
A home person, it's nothing.
So is it fine to like just dump it in?
Yes.
Okay, it is.
Do a
'Cause
lot
I've
of water
always
though.
been told not.
It depends.
Oh, okay.
It depends on your pipes as well.
Yeah.
Depends on where you
It
live.
depends on where you live.
Arizona doesn't care. So, which is ridiculous.
Well,
But generally speaking, most stuff that a home person's going to be using are not dangerous.
okay, I take it back, everyone.
Your pipes can get like kind of messed up in some of your plumbing with
Yeah.
fixer. Fixer's really caustic, so you have to run a
Yeah.
lot of water through it.
Okay.
But generally speaking,
And
it's
it's-
the
I'm glad
silver.
I know now.
yeah. And the other thing too is that it's like Stacey said, it's mostly the silver that you're putting back into the water
the
stream.
system,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because then
As-
it has to get filtered out, and then it'll cause problems because
Yeah,
it's
and-
literally silver.
It's super small, and then it's
Yeah.
trickier to filter out the silver.
Yeah.
So they do make silver collection systems. So basically, it's a bucket, and so like a 5-gallon bucket. And what you do is you put steel wool in the bucket, and
Oh,
then you
okay.
put a little charge on it. So like essentially, put connect it to like a battery, and what it'll do is all the silver will plate to the steel
To
wool.
the steel wool.
Yep.
That
Yep.
makes so. That's how you would. Is that
Yeah.
how you're reclaiming it, or is that how you just take it out?
That's how you reclaim it.
Okay.
And then what ends up happening is you can actually reuse the fixer again. If you're doing like just black and white, it gets a little tricky because most people shoot color, develop color, and then those chemicals you can't really replenish. So
Yeah.
there are some ways you can replenish your Blix, and you could pull the silver out of the Blix.
Okay.
The other thing too is that there's a lot more silver that you actually get out of color film, because once you develop your negatives, you actually remove all of the silver.
Whoa.
As where with black and white film,
Some of it
people don't
stays,
realize.
right?
Yeah,
Because that is the image.
That is the image, yeah.
Yeah.
yep. So
But you need the silver halides in color film to make,
To
the,
make
image.
the image.
The
But
dyes
that
the
chemical
dyes,
process.
the dyes go in there, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
but you flush it out. Yeah.
Wow. I just learned
So you
something.
lose you lose way more of the silver on the color processing. But if you're a lab, absolutely, you should be
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
It's
but
the
if you're at
it's
home,
the right thing to do.
So
Yeah.
now I
You're
know
at
as
home.
well.
There's no way you're running
And-
enough to be like significant.
Yeah,
of a
I mean, because I
problem.
have, I have like the typical like Cine Still whatever color kit, and
Yeah.
it's been sitting in the bottles for probably over a year, maybe 2.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, I need to get
Yeah.
rid of this so I
And
can
if you're
start
really weird
developing
about it, you
again.
can always put them in an open bucket, put them outside, let them evaporate, and then you just have
Oh,
what's
there you go.
left.
Let the sky eat it.
yeah, pretty much. Exactly.
A lot of people do that. They'll do a bucket system and they'll just like
Yeah,
let it
you can let
evaporate.
that, and that'll
Interesting.
dehydrate pretty quick too here
Yeah,
in Arizona.
absolutely.
The other
Yeah, especially
alternative,
right now, right? It's so hot, so it'll just.
oh yeah, it would
Okay.
evaporate pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
The other option too is, I mean, you could take it to like waste disposal
Yeah,
if you wanted.
see, that's
You
what I've
could,
always heard is
yeah.
like you take it to like a hazardous waste disposal place or whatever. But I'm like, I don't even
Yeah.
know where that is, dude.
I've been told before, and I've called a few people, and they're like, "Oh, just pour it down the drain." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
But that's what we've been told, and that's the thing too, is the chemicals that are in it are technically like fertilizer. So ammonium
Whoa.
thiosulfate is like a fertilizer that,
Yep.
and that's pretty much what's
Dang.
in Fixer and also in Blix. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
The more you know.
Now there are other chemicals that you want to be
There's-
cautious about.
There's definitely some
So-
chemicals out there that you got to be way more aware of,
Yeah.
like how you're dealing with them. There's a few alternative processes that get like that. I always mention Mortensage. Mortensage gets spicy, and you have to be
Really?
very careful about the chemicals. You got to be very careful
So-
about even flushing those.
Yeah, there's this process we've talked about it in the lab
Yeah.
before. It's a process where you make a black and white print, and you can actually do this with color too, which is kind of crazy. But you make a print and then you put it into this bath. So once the print is done, you can take like an archive print if you want. You could take it and you put it into this bath, and the bath actually destroys the print and turns it into an emulsion lift.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you can pull it. It's almost like
Yeah.
the people who do the Polaroids. They pull
Yeah.
the image
Yeah,
off the
it does
Polaroid.
these veils that are on it.
Yeah,
But
those
the
are cool.
process itself is very caustic, and those chemicals are very dangerous. So
I've seen.
you got to be very aware of what you're doing with them.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what is her name? She runs Dark Slide Film Lab.
Oh yeah, Emily.
Emily. She
Yep.
does the film emulsion lifts, and I've always thought those are so cool. 'Cause she'll like put them on like a concrete stone or something, and I'm like, dude, that's so like,
Yeah, there's
wild and outrageous. But
there's
it's cool.
emulsion lifts that you can do, which is pretty fun. But like the process that Stacey's talking about is
It's
like
different.
It's
It's-
different. It's
it
a
is-
little different. Yeah,
It's kind of
More
it's a-
spicy, as you said.
very
Yeah.
spicy.
Well, that's the thing, is this is an archival print. It was
Yeah.
designed and engineered to stay archival.
Mm.
And what you're doing is you're destroying it. You're actually pulling it up off of the paper,
Whoa.
and it doesn't quite separate the same way as a Polaroid does. But those are pretty cool.
It veils
Yeah.
off instead, which is a little different.
So it doesn't really
true.
come off like a little sheet.
No, the
Okay.
darkest parts, the blackest parts of the print are what veils off.
Oh,
And it really does veil. It just like looks like a veil, and like they're really interesting. You can get some really cool effects.
have you
but-
done one?
I've done quite a few of them, and
Have you posted them?
there's a few. Yeah,
my
they're
gosh,
probably buried
I
in
need
my,
to
my
see
feed.
Stacey's got one that's out in Goldfield.
Oh my gosh, one of
Which
my
is
favorite
kind of
places.
crazy. It's a
That
like
one
a
looked pretty
cart.
good. Yeah, some of them are. You have to be careful because you can't really do them at home. So we're
Yeah.
lucky because we have a lab.
Yeah.
So the lab, I put the full air on. I put the door open, and the tray has comic blue fumes coming off that you can see.
Oh my
It'll
goodness.
and you have
It's
to wear a
kinda scary.
respirator.
She's a real film Heisenberg.
Yeah,
Pretty
you have
much,
to,
yeah.
It looks like you're doing it because the blue.
Yeah.
It's literally like blue crystals, but you have to wear a respirator. You have to wear full clothes
Yeah, I
because
bet.
it'll dry clean your lungs. Like it'll
Oh
take
my
you out.
goodness.
Yeah. So it's like one of those processes. When I do it, I have to be very aware of all my surroundings on it. But that stuff, even when I'm like flushing that, I'm like, I've got to neutralize this. 'Cause
Yeah.
this is like,
Yeah, the biggest thing too, the other concern with disposing of chemicals is making sure that you dilute it enough so it
diluting
doesn't affect
for
is
the pipes.
really important. Yeah.
So, because it's one thing to pour the stuff down the drain,
Yeah.
but making sure that you dilute it a lot is
Yeah.
is
I would
huge.
never do Mortensage at home.
Yeah.
Ever.
No.
Ever in a
Yeah, I
million
mean,
years. No, only because I have a lab
would
that
just-
I can do it.
Gas
Stacey,
yourself.
It's ideal to
basically.
do it outside, honestly.
Well, that's one
Yeah.
of the first things that we ended up doing in the lab was doing Mortensage when I first met you.
It's true.
Really?
Yeah,
So,
we
yeah,
did.
Stacey's like, hey, let's
She
do
trick
some.
you into it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Brought him
She's
a,
like, hey, here's some like
I brought him a gas mask.
crazy chemicals. Let's do this. I'm like, okay.
Dan's like, what is this blue stuff and what are we making?
Yeah.
Am I gonna get in trouble?
It looked like meth. I was like, finally, the lab's going to be successful. Like,
That's
all
so
right.
funny.
That's
I can
our-
pay
our-
for my film addiction now.
Yeah.
Our kind of courting.
Yeah.
Playing with chemicals.
What a great way to court
Yeah.
you.
Pretty much.
Bring
Yeah.
a gas mask.
Like,
Hey,
I-
we're gonna do this really dangerous process. You in?
Hell yeah.
Sure, I guess.
Yep. Dan was down. He's
Yeah.
like, cool.
There
yeah,
was a
I
time
taught
where-
you how to do cyanotype on glass as well.
Oh, yeah.
I gave Dan a workshop on that.
Yeah. 2-hour workshop. I showed up and Stacey's got all the chems. And
She showed up in
Boom.
your own lab.
yeah,
I
she's
showed
like,
up
here you
to-
go.
yeah.
I was like, oh, neat. All right.
Yeah, that cyanotype stuff is really cool too. Like I've never really wanted to do it, but I can appreciate like the effort it takes to do it.
Yeah.
Because you're like putting stuff outside, like people that are like doing plants in cyanotype. Like you're like
Yeah.
leaving them outside to like, I don't know. It's just,
Yeah.
I personally don't have patience for it. And like sometimes I don't even have the patience to develop my own, 35 rolls. But I like respect the fact that you do it. And like you actually do it so well. Like I've seen a lot of people that do it where it's kind of just like, it's cool, but it's like nothing special.
There's a real variety and swing of like, cyanotype's one of those things. It's a lot of craft.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of craft.
Yeah.
It's a very safe process, which is amazing. Little kids do it. Like it's a common thing in elementary schools. You could eat your cyanotype and probably be fine. Like it really probably wouldn't hurt you. So it's like one of those things where the difference of what you see is a lot because you can do like kind of fine art with it.
Yeah, there's many
and you can
ways
just
to
put your
go.
hand on it and make a silhouette of your hand on it as well.
It's just such an interesting thing. And I don't think a lot of film photographers even know that it's like a thing in general that you can do.
Yeah.
It definitely is picked up as a
It's picked
trend.
up.
Has it?
But it's partly because of the clothing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, people are doing it on like t-shirts and
Oh,
stuff,
it's been
right?
crazy. That's my.
That's Stacey's pet peeve,
We're
though.
gonna go into Stacey's pet peeve. I'm gonna have a PSA for a moment here, everyone. Do not cyanotype clothing.
Oh no. Why?
Do it
isn't-
anyways. But
You can do it. You can do it. I've done it. You can absolutely do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But know that your cyanotype is going to wash away eventually.
Oh yeah, true. I
Also,
didn't
if
think
you
about
use
that.
regular detergent, it will turn yellow immediately. Your body, your sweat, your perfumes, your lotions,
Anything can
they're all
change
going to
it.
ruin it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you treat it perfectly fine and you only washed it in water every time,
Mm-hmm.
give it like 20 washes. It's going to be gone. It's going to be totally gone.
and it fades in the sun.
Also, UV. UV is an important part of cyanotype.
Yeah.
So if it's exposed to the sun, which most people's clothes are, it's going to fade.
Yeah.
And it's going to go away. So Solar Fast is a product that Jacquard makes specifically for clothing, and it works just like cyanotype.
Yeah.
You just put it on wet instead of dry. Everyone, if you're doing clothing, do that. I assure you. It's
Maybe,
a much, and it comes in different colors too. You don't have to just do blue.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's so much, you'll just be so much happier. That's my little pet peeve. I see a lot of it, and a lot of it's clothes. You can totally do it, but you have to know. I guess my peeve isn't the clothes. My peeve is I learned cyanotype yesterday. I'm opening up a clothing store
Yeah.
and selling it and not telling anyone any of this stuff about the clothes they just bought.
Yeah.
Like, oh, by the
Or-
way, that's a temporary thing that I just sold you. That's the part that peeves me. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure people know it's not a permanent way. And there's a better option. So why not go for the better option?
But maybe they're like an evil mastermind and they're like, this is an easy way to get recurring customers.
they'll just keep having to buy it.
Yeah, 'cause
over
they'll
and
come
over
back and
again.
buy another
That's
one
actually
once it
perfect. Yeah,
fades.
they'll keep doing
Fast
it.
fashion, but local.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, local
Local fast fashion.
sun-derived fast fashion.
We've come full circle.
You really have.
Oh my God, we've come full circle.
Whoa,
it makes
that's
sense
crazy.
now.
Dang.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, respect for you to even doing cyanotype and for speaking up about clothing cyanotype.
Yeah, like I mean,
It needed to
I
be
don't.
said.
I've totally made.
Stacey's wanted to
cyanotype-
vent. She's been a little grumpy lately.
No, I've been doing cyanotype forever.
Yeah.
and ever. I've been doing cyanotype.
Yeah, it's close to your heart. You want to
So,
protect the
like,
craft
it's,
of it.
Yeah, it's not just that. I just want to make sure people know what they're doing
Oh, okay, I
before
see.
they go out in the world. It's like if you're gonna, like, especially if you're selling clothing, and you're not telling the end person, "Hey,
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna fade." And a lot of people I've even seen, like, if you go on Etsy, it's kind of crazy, like what you see on there.
Oh yeah.
And there's either there is an explanation or it's oh, just wash this, and they give the right way of washing it, but they don't realize, like, it's like you're so new, you don't even know that it will go
Yeah.
away eventually, even if you wash it the right way.
Well, it's like camera flippers who are, they just get into it and
Yeah.
they put like, whatever point and shoot, and they label it as Canon point and shoot.
Yep.
Zooms to this, and you're like, dude, you didn't tell me anything about that camera. Like, how am I supposed to
Yeah.
buy it? But then they're still selling them, and you're like, how?
Yep.
yeah.
It's
It
yeah.
happens. I mean, the art world's sort of full of that, though. I mean, you look at like a lot of people that start anything, any hobby. God, any hobby. Some people, and nowadays there's a real weird trend, and I'm older, so I'm not as used to it as a lot of people are. But I think a lot of younger people are so used to having to monetize. I'm not saying that right.
Monetize.
Thank you
Monetize,
very
yeah.
much. Everything they do.
Yeah, I mean,
It used to not be that way, and
Yeah, we're
I know
kinda
that's
raised to do that now.
Yeah, it's a reflection of our economy and just everyone being screwed with everything. But you don't have to sell your hobby. You don't have to do that. And if a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
can
people,
just be a hobby.
it can totally
But
just
you
be
gotta.
I know. And a lot of
Dan
people
on the other side.
a lot of people feel like they got to sell their hobby. They got to sell themselves. You don't have to. You don't have to
Yeah.
do that. You have my permission. I'm giving it to you.
I think that's a good point because I think, a lot of people get into photography and then like think, all right, now I got to post on Instagram. I got to be making these reels. I got to monetize my content. And it's like, well, you don't have to
You
do
don't
that.
have to do that.
Sure, if you want to
Yeah.
make money, that's a good way to at least start. But, you
Yeah,
don't have to.
You have
can just- it can
10,000
just be
followers
fun.
and you have 1 follower. You're going to get the same satisfaction out of your work
Yeah.
if you're truly enjoying the work.
Yeah.
If you're enjoying the fact that you're getting likes from that, then it's not what
It's
you're
different.
doing. It's you could be doing anything. You're just looking for the attention.
Yeah.
Like that's a
Well,
different thing.
I think we've kind of, I don't know, it's probably with the way we've been raised in social media is
Yeah.
relatively new too.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Instagram started back in 2012-ish?
I think
So-
even earlier, no?
It
Either way,
was around that time,
Yeah.
and it's kind of crazy because MySpace has been around for forever. It feels like, but I don't know. I think it's hard.
Still around.
No.
Don't
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That went away a while ago, right? Okay.
But I don't know. I think social media it's difficult because everything's digital now. Especially during COVID, we were, forced to share what it is that we're doing and connect with other people. And then,
people don't do in real life stuff
I think that was
anymore.
kind of the catalyst of like it really like the monetization of like social media getting like supercharged just because
Yeah.
like everyone's just at home like doing whatever and then posting it
Yeah.
or like making reels or making TikToks or like even when Vine was a thing before COVID
a lot
it's
of
like,
people
Or
lost
YouTube.
jobs
Yeah, or
as
YouTube,
well.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
they needed to make some
yeah
extra
and
cash.
so you're just
yeah.
you're twiddling your thumbs on your couch like well maybe I can just do something with my day by recording a
Yeah.
video and see how it performs but
Yeah.
yeah I think around COVID is when a lot of like hobbies like really took off. Like we saw
Yeah.
film photography
Yep.
just like boom on Twitter. Like
Oh,
it was
yeah.
Yep.
nuts how many people just got super big from having like 0 followers to going to like 80,000 and now they're like doing partnerships with CineStill or they're working with like other big creators and doing like just being like someone's lighting tech or like just I don't know like there was just such a like a shift when all of that happened. I think we all felt it, even people who don't like have like true hobbies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Definitely a different world we live in, but
Yeah.
I feel like, reminding people like if you really enjoy photography, do more than just post it to Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And we can come back to you've gone through and you've made books with your work and it's
Yeah.
like something tangible, which I have a lot of respect for because it's not an easy feat. We're working on one for, I think would we say the deadline's tomorrow?
Yeah, the deadline is tomorrow
when this
comes
podcast
out.
drops. We have a zine that we're working on right now, but it's a lot of work to create a photo book and create something tangible. And it's just one of those things that seems easier on Instagram, but then you're having to deal with algorithms and you're trying to, make your content interesting. And then what you end up doing is you make it more and more lame.
Yeah,
to
it's
get
like
the
catered
numbers.
to the algorithm.
Yeah,
at a
you're
certain
starting
point.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're chasing that, you're gonna go down.
You kind of
really
have to
fast,
like
yeah.
put blinders on yourself sometimes. I remember, so my first like marketing photographer job was at Dutch Bros, but I remember someone saying something to me there. I won't say his name, but he was like, "Don't follow any photographers." And I was like, that's like an interesting thing to say. And the reason he said that was he was like, you want to have your own inspiration when you're like this young. Because I was 20 when I started working there. And I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But then as I got older, I was like, well, this is a dumb rule. Like, I'm kind of just like in my own lane. I'm not following anyone. I'm not looking at anyone's stuff. Like, I kind of want to have the inspiration from other people.
Right.
And I don't know, like, everyone has their different ways of doing it, but putting out your work like in a physical format is like such a good way to like validate yourself that what you did was something special, that you don't need like Instagram to be like, that was a sick photo, or oh my god, this is a banger. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you don't need that stuff. You can do it for yourself. You just have to put the work in, and like it does take a long time, and it is like a grueling process, but it's worth it.
It's rewarding, even if nobody buys your book. It's
Even
like
if you make
made
one, if you make one to go on your own coffee table, like it is 100% worth it. And so I was telling someone about the community zine, your community zine.
Yeah.
One of my friends that doesn't really shoot film, like he's not a photographer by any means. He shoots on a point and shoot, him and his girlfriend. And I was talking about a party, and I was like, dude, like, you ever thought about like having any one of your photos that you like really love printed? And he was like, I don't know, like maybe, I just don't know what opportunity would come. And I was like, well, let me tell you about this community zine. I was like, it's probably the best deal you're ever gonna get. Like, it's $30 for one photo to be put in the book. You're gonna get your photo in the book. You're gonna get a copy of the book. You're doing almost no work to get your photo printed, guaranteed. And when I told him that, he was like, oh my God, like, that's actually sick. And I was like, yeah. And then you have something to put on your coffee table. So when people come to your house and they pick it up, you can be like, look, my photo is in there.
Yep.
And he's not even a photographer. Like, how cool of a moment would that be? Like, I'm in a community zine.
If I had this opportunity, like, come across my lap, I'd be like, heck yeah, I'm jumping in
I'd
on
be
it.
submitting. Yeah, so someone did this.
Yeah, I mean, like, guys, absolutely. I did this 3 times on my own. When Dan told me he was doing a community zine, I was like, I'm freaking in, dude. Because like I said, like, it's easy. Like, it's $30. You still have to pay something, but it's worth it. Like, you get your photo printed and published in something that many people are going to put their hands on and touch and look at. And like, whether you're a photographer or not, it's just like something cool to have at your house. Or
it's like an analog Instagram.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's a cool way to see your photos.
It puts the humans back in it. So it's a very abstract in the digital world when someone likes a photo, because it's like, okay, there's bots on there and people are just clicking buttons and it doesn't feel real. But when you have someone like see your book and be like, hey, look at that. Like, and they're touching it. That's a human being. You're having like an actual real interaction with somebody, and it feels different. It feels the way it's supposed to feel. Yeah. And a lot of people are honestly like lacking in that nowadays. Like, they don't feel it enough because we don't have
I tell you what, it feels
nearly
good
as many like human interactions as we should be.
I mean, I go to my friend's house and they have high and dry and HOV and heat wave like set up all nice. Yeah. And like, not even for me, that's like how it is at their house, like on their coffee table. And I like, every time I see it, no matter if I've seen like the same person's house 10 times, it is the coolest feeling to have your work sitting in someone else's house that they bought from you, that you worked super hard on, and they just enjoy it, like, you know, whenever they find time to enjoy it. But it's just cool to see it out. Like, I don't know. There's something
very cool. Yeah. Anytime I've ever sold a piece, I'm like, someone put that on their wall. Yeah. They bought that for me and they put that up.
It's such a special feeling.
It is.
I hope all my friends know that. Like, I tell them a lot when they come in. I'm like, oh my gosh, you do this for me? Like, jokingly, but they know it's like a special moment for me when I see that stuff out. And the majority of them are like, yeah, dude, these are out all the time. I don't know why you're like tripping over this. But
you heard I was coming over, you put them out.
Yeah.
It's like the fine china.
Hurry, he's almost here. No, it is cool though. Like,
it's a good feeling. And it's something tangible too. Another thing too.
Yeah.
You know, in 50 years from now, the Instagram is not going to be what it is.
Yeah, it might be
today.
gone.
It's probably gone. There's no way it's making that
But that book
long.
is going to be sitting somewhere. And some kid is going to find this book
when the EMP or is it EMP that hits and all the digital goes away, the book will remain.
You still have your book.
Yeah, and that was the main driver with the first one with Heatwave. I was like, I'm kind of tired of posting, and I was shooting all digital at the time. I just barely like scratched the surface on film, but I was like, dang, I'm tired of posting this crap on Instagram. Like, there needs to be some other way. And I wasn't even really looking for the monetization. I think that book was just like let me test it out and see if like it's worth doing. And then it was received so well because people were like, we love this. We can like put it, you know, wherever in the house and someone will pick it up. And it's like a conversation starter. Yeah. So it's like more than just for me at that point. It's like people are enjoying this in different ways. And so like, once I knew that, I was like, all right, now let's make something serious, you know? Yeah. And that's when the second one came. And then the third one was just like, all right, now I have to wrap it up. Like, this is the finale to everything. But
it's fun. I think it's
fun.
Enjoyable. I still need I don't know if you have any more copies. I need to get a copy from you. I got to buy one of these.
I think we have one. Don't we have one? I think we have one.
Of all the zines we have, I don't think we have one from you.
No, I think we have one of the 3. I think we do have one.
No, we don't.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I know our zine collection. I know our book collection.
We have so many, so it's kind of hard to tell. Like, we actually, because we have them at the lab, and like
we have a ton at our house too. Like, I buy any photographer we know, I usually buy their book just because it's like, you know, respect. Like, you bought my book, I'm gonna buy yours.
Yeah, we've got Eldon's. We've got
Eldon's
right.
is
Elton
great.
did one.
Yeah,
I love how short it is. Like,
I
don't know if he like was meaning to do it that short, but I love how like short and sweet you can flip through it in 10 minutes and get the vibe super easy.
I like his juxtapose of the two sides to his book as well.
Dude. I told him that when I first looked through it. I was like, dude, this is a genius idea, especially for the the horizontal format he did. It is horizontal, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have so many books.
And then we've got KJ's. We've got
Yeah, KJ's is great too.
Yeah.
I know
Dave Tabor has his.
Tabor's got a few.
He does those.
We've got one from names.
What's her name from Texas?
Oh,
Liz.
Liz Potter.
Liz Potter.
Oh, Liz Potter. yeah.
Liz Potter, anyway, if people like to collect photo books,
Mm-hmm.
Liz Potter, 100%. She puts so much work into her books and it shows.
Yeah.
Like beautiful books. And
she's
she
got
like
write-ups on some
she
of the
does
photos.
Like
write-up.
layout wise or like photo wise?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything's
Yeah.
put together so well.
Yeah.
She usually does a lot of writing with them as well. So you know where she took the photo and what she was thinking about.
Yeah.
Such
you
a
have
good
to do
layout.
that. That's how HOV
Amazing
is.
work.
It's all journaled out, like all 27 days of the road trip for HOV. But like that stuff is stuff that I didn't learn until I got to the third book, which is why it's important
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah.
If you're going to
Start
make a photo
somewhere.
book, start somewhere, because by the time you get to the third one, like I did, I finally had it refined enough to where it was like, okay, this is a serious book. Like
Yeah.
we're talking about serious things within the book, serious like emotional reactions to photos and places.
Yeah.
And like that stuff hits way harder than just a book with just photos.
Just photos.
Which
Yeah.
is basically what my first two were. But you know,
Yeah.
once you start getting into like layout and design and writing and or journaling or however you want to do it, it becomes so much more meaningful, which is why you love her books so much, because they hold
Yeah.
weight to them. It's not like it's
Yeah.
just it's not like a coloring. You know, like I use the coloring book analogy because like you look through a coloring book, you get bored after like 5 pages, right? Unless
Yeah.
you've colored through them.
Yeah.
But you have to have something in there to like break it all up, like whether it's
There's need-
writing or
you need
music
context.
or
You
yeah,
need-
you need
context is
context.
nice, especially when it's one photographer's work. Because if it's one photographer's work, you start flipping through. Like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you know, some books can be a little on the boring side, but if you
Yeah.
have someone that puts it together well,
For sure.
either with words or they're putting it in a nice linear kind of fashion, like you know, it can be done in
Yeah.
a lot of different ways. But it shows when somebody, you know, you can see they put more thought to it than just
Yeah.
popping the photos into the book and
I
printing
think
it.
for me, like chronological was like when I, because I mean, High and Dry wasn't chronological, Heat Wave wasn't chronological, but HOV had to be chronological. Oh my gosh, say that word 3 times fast. But like that to me is an important thing, because then you get to feel what the photographer felt like throughout making that book. And it just
Yeah.
kind of like pieces everything together so nicely, even if you don't
Yeah.
notice that it's chronological or
Yeah.
or maybe someone puts cues in there. But for me, like when I see a book and I can tell that it's chronologically like taken,
Yeah.
I love that, because
Yeah.
it's like you get to live their memories in order.
Yeah.
Keep touching this mic.
That's
I'm
okay.
talking with my hands, Stacey.
Yep.
Gosh dang it.
Hand talker.
Yeah. Oh wait. Anyways, hold on. I was gonna. Can I plug? Since you said you wanted to get a book, can I just
Yeah.
plug for everyone?
Yeah, go for it.
You guys can just go to my website for the book. So I still sell them. They're one-off copies. They're a little more expensive because the print shop wanted to do it that way.
Yeah.
But it's just dinojagger.com.
Heck yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah, easy. All 3 books are available, which is
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't used to be like that, but I finally was able to get the print companies to help me out.
Awesome. Yeah, it's kind of tricky when you're ordering books because it's like you have to order 20 plus books or
Yeah.
something crazy, and it's just like
You got to order a lot to make it cheap.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
like
insane.
I think I don't know if we want to get into like the real like semantics of it all, but I mean, 100 books for me was a lot of money to ship to just get it shipped to me so that I could sell it to other people.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
printing is not cheap.
It's
Yeah.
expensive.
For our zine, we're using Mixam, which makes it super easy for like the ordering process from what I've seen so far.
Mixam is awesome. I'm like closest with them for sure. At least when I was making my books, like they were super communicative and like always on the ball. Like if I needed something or like let's say like the colors came out wrong on my book,
Yeah.
I would just be like, hey, I know you just did all this work. You just printed this one off for me. It costs this much. I really don't want to pay for another one. The colors are totally off.
Yeah.
There was a couple times where they were like, yeah, we got you. Like try it in this color profile on InDesign and then send it back to us. And they would just do it. And it was like so nice because I never had that at Blurb. And I don't want to like talk crap
Yeah.
about Blurb, but
Yeah.
You
It's fine.
yeah. Mixam is great for anyone who wants to do a photo book, I will say.
I will say I saw Blurb came on the scene with photo books. They've been in the game for a really long
A
time.
long time.
But it's interesting where you can go with a company and kind of sell your product.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they do high end like photography books is kind of where they've shifted, but
Blurb.
it's kind of, I don't know. I guess I can't really say that because I haven't really looked them up lately.
Are you talking about Blurb?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have kind of shifted to like the high end stuff. So you're looking at, you do a one-off book that's 200 pages, you're looking at like 200 to 50 like for one book.
That's insane.
So, and then you're like almost forced to buy in bulk to like pull those numbers down just
Yeah.
to sell them, because there's no way you're selling a book for
No.
$250. I'm sorry. I don't know how they even do it. I mean, I know they like specialize in lay flats and stuff like that. I don't have any interest in doing lay flats. I think it's just like,
yeah.
I don't know, like whatever, dude. It's a book. Of course,
Yeah.
you're not going to see the full image. And then
Yeah.
like, if you don't want your image to, whoa, sorry.
You good?
All good.
Okay, I think it's tight.
You good?
Sorry, Britt. I just scared everyone because I moved the mic. It fell. But yeah, like lay flats and stuff like that. It's like, who cares if your image is like tucked in the seam? Like, and if it is, lay it out differently so that it's
Yeah.
not tucked. Like, it's not hard.
Yeah.
You don't need a lay flat.
Yeah, we're going a route which is going to be we're not going to do the lay flat for this scene that we're doing, but there's the Smithsonian Smiths whatever, I forget the name exactly, but essentially it's a different way to lay out the book, so it'll be closer to being flat
Yeah.
rather than being really tight where it's really bound and it doesn't
Yeah.
quite do that. But at the same time, most of the images, the way the layout's going to be for this one, it'll be something comfortable for it. No, I wanted to do more with it and get more in depth, but we still have some time, so we'll end up seeing where we end up going with it with all the photos.
There's plenty of ways to do it. I just like, I don't know. I'm a non-lay flat guy. They make it like the way they do them too. They're like really thick pages, almost like cardboard, and like, I don't know. I wanted to do big books. Like all my books are 200 pages plus. So you can't do a lay flat like that because it's going to be near like 8 inches thick.
It'd be like a phone book.
Yeah. Like I'm not trying to sell phone books to people. That's crazy. And just think about like ordering 100 books and having them that be that size and how many boxes
You
it
have
would
to
take
have
up.
like 3 pallets worth of books.
Really?
Yeah, dude, I don't have a forklift.
It'd be insane. That'd be pretty fun though, to have money to throw at something crazy like that. I think a lay flat book would work really well if you had like really big images that actually took up that whole span.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to do like, I don't know, panoramic images across the book or something like that.
Yeah, and something really, really big. Like it would make sense if you had like one of those giant coffee table books.
Oh yeah,
But-
they have one at what is that shop? Dialogue Coffee.
Okay.
Have you guys been there?
Oh yeah.
They have a
Yeah, they got
really
some big
big
ones.
art book that like sits out on some like easel. It's super fun to flip through.
Yeah.
And that we saw that when I was in the middle of making HOV, and it crossed my mind where I was like, do I go this big? No, I didn't.
It'd be
obviously.
fun, but it's like, who's your audience? Like,
Yeah, who is your audience?
How
at that
big? How
point?
big is my name in order to to sell this?
Yeah.
Start doing micro books.
Yeah,
Dan was
that's a
talking
good
about
idea
that.
too.
Yeah.
I mean,
gotta-
how micro though?
I gotta
Very micro.
I gotta pull this off before somebody else takes it. No, it's fine. I was gonna do a contact sheet and then cut down a contact sheet and then use the film cassette as a book cover.
Ooh,
Which I
that's
think-
a really small book.
Very
yeah.
small.
So, but it's cool because it's like a contact sheet that's been cut down, and so you
Yeah.
have all those little frames. So it'd be pretty tricky to like get it all just right.
Yeah.
But I haven't figured out how to make a metal, like the cassette once it's flattened out, how to turn that into a book without
With like a binding.
yeah, because it's
Yeah.
you basically would end up having
You
to
have to glue the edges.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that you could do a glue.
yeah, I guess you'd have to cut it and then glue it and then
Well-
bind the edge on the backside.
I've
or
also
something.
never
Yes,
had a
exactly.
contact sheet that's looked that good to like cut every single image out perfectly
Yeah.
for a book.
Well, I mean, you could mix and match it.
Dan's like,
technically.
my contract
True.
sheets are fire.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know what you're talking
They're
about.
so
It'll be
good.
perfect.
If Dan
got-
shot photos, that'd be the case.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a burn. I feel
Yeah,
like.
that's true. I'm so busy with
It's not
everything
his
else.
fault. He's too busy.
Yeah, we're all busy. I
don't-
barely shoot. I mean, I shoot when we go on trips and stuff, but definitely
Yeah.
not like I used to for sure.
It's hard. Yeah, we're super excited because we're going on vacation here in a few days, and
Heck yeah.
we're going to be gone for a week. And I'm like, oh, thank God. I
Okay,
can
so
take some
what are
photos.
we bringing?
I'm bringing my new camera.
What is your
so
new
Dan got
camera?
a digital.
I got a digital camera.
Dan,
know.
what the heck? Okay, Stacy, you go. I don't care about Dan.
I know. I told him. Well, I said the same thing. I've mentioned this. I told Dan. I'm like,
bringing my
"You're-"
Rolly.
I'm like, you're dead to me.
What?
But no, it makes sense because in the lab we do some video work, and it's hard in the lab
Yeah.
because it's often dark. So actually, it does have a use.
Yeah.
And you can technically scan film with it too.
I use it for digital work.
Yeah.
Like for digital copy. I
Copy
just
work.
did a
Wait, so
digital
Yeah.
copy
what
job.
camera is it now that we're talking about it?
Yeah.
Nikon Z7 II.
Oh, okay, so it is a nice camera. It's
It's-
mirrorless. It's new.
45 megapixel.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
like-
beast.
but it's
Great
kind
for
of
scanning that.
it's overkill. It's all my fun money for the
Yeah,
next year that I gotta put towards it.
I'm
So-
of the mind of like, why not do overkill, especially if you're scanning? Why not scan at 8,000 by 8,000?
Seriously,
like
you
'cause
might
then
as
you
well.
can blow it up huge.
It's the first camera that I've bought in 17 years,
Yes.
brand new.
Dang.
And I was
It's
like,
been a while.
Congrats.
17. It's been over. Yeah, it's just insane.
How did it feel? The first reveal, taking it out of the box. I always love that
I-
experience.
I was like pretty excited about it. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I actually invested in something that I'm going to be really happy with.
Yeah, and you're
long
gonna use
term.
it for a long time.
Oh yeah.
It's not something
So-
that's 45 megapixels is serious.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And it's like one of those things where we ended up going to the airport afterwards, after like a couple days after I got it. And we were like, oh, let's go take pictures of the planes and stuff. And I'm over here like taking pictures of people on the tarmac. And I'm like, I can zoom in and see what they have on their
Yeah.
phone.
People
It's
in
like-
the planes.
just
yeah.
about.
Crazy.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
It was kind of crazy.
I only made
but-
fun of him for a little bit with that. But
Yeah.
then the same week that he got that, he got like a deep cut film photography
Yeah, so I
tattoo.
got
So, I was like, all right,
Oh.
you're still good.
Wait, what is that?
Edward Muybridge.
Was it the horse?
Yep.
Yeah.
the
So
the
spinny
running
thing,
horses. Yeah.
Yep.
whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
capturing those.
yeah,
So I was
Stacey's like, I'll let it pass.
All right. All
Is that a
right.
thing? Does every film photographer have a film tattoo?
This
Yeah.
is
I
my
have
first.
one.
This is my first
No,
one.
it's not.
Oh, okay. Well, technically, I've got a different one. That's
We
got
both
a
you
have the
down
same
there?
tattoos on our inner arm.
Yeah.
And
Is that a
we-
roll or what?
And there's a
it's a little camera.
camera there. So Dan does have a camera. So it's
yeah,
your second.
I guess technically, I do have a camera.
You do have the camera, so it's the
Yeah.
second one.
Yeah, I just have a roll of Ektar on my.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Victor.
everyone does. Like every film photographer that you have to somewhere.
I really
Yeah.
wanted to get 120, but the guy was like, I don't know like what that is. And then I showed him like a thing of like the 120 roll, and it was just like, yeah, that's gonna look so dumb.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, we'll do 35.
It's gonna look like a trash
I
can.
I want to
Yeah.
get the backing paper. I was thinking about getting
Oh,
the
that's a
backing
good
paper
idea.
up my leg, like up the side, but I don't know.
Just
Yeah.
get like the arrow from like the 120
Yeah.
backing paper.
The
like,
different
on your arm
numbers and the
somewhere.
little dots. It'll look a little
Yeah.
strange, so I'm debating on that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But
but
I'm bringing my Rolly as well.
yeah, you're
Oh,
bringing.
okay.
You're still
Well,
bringing
you're
the
set.
Rolly. So I
Yeah.
always end up over bringing cameras, and then I end up shooting on one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hate carrying like a lot of cameras, but there's actually a lot of photos that I know I'm going to want to take, especially when we're in the Pennsylvania portion of our trip, because that's my jam. Some of the stuff that's there. So I'm debating, but I think I'm just going to bring my Yashica.
Nice.
And that's it. The TLR.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stick to
That's a good choice.
Literally one camera.
I'm a very one camera person.
I feel like I'm going to do it this time. I feel
Yeah.
nervous about it because I'm like,
don't.
the camera's great with
Yeah.
film, and I get a little nervous. But generally speaking, I'm like, you know what? I'm just,
There's so much freedom in just having one camera on you. I know
Yeah.
people are always like, I gotta carry this and I gotta carry this and I gotta like,
Yep.
and whatever, do your thing. But like, man, if you only have one camera, one lens,
Mm-hmm.
your mind is way more open to everything that's going on around you, because now you're not thinking like, oh, should I actually take this camera? Oh wait, what roll do I have in there? Like, simplifying it
Yeah.
like frees you so much
yeah.
to do
And I have
what
like
you
a
need to
brick
do.
of HP5. I think I'm bringing like one stock, and that's
Perfect.
it.
Yeah, perfect.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make this easy.
yeah,
So, and I hate carrying so much crap.
me too.
And it's weirdly part of our trips in New York. And when I'm in New York, for some reason, I don't want to shoot, which seems so weird
That
because
is
it's like
weird.
New York is very like there's photos everywhere.
Yeah.
But when I'm in New York, I almost never want to shoot when I'm there.
Well, you're not a street photographer, really.
I'm
either,
not much of a
so-
street
and
photographer,
that
so
kinda
that has a
is
lot to do
the
with
mecca.
it. Yeah.
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 But I regret that I don't take a lot of photos. I lived in New York for a decade.
Oh, nice.
I have very few photos from my time in New York.
Wow.
Because I just never took them.
That is wild.
And I'm like, I kind of regret that. So I feel like I probably should force myself a teeny
Yeah,
bit.
you should. I mean, at least next time you go back, just be like, okay, I gotta.
Take
I
a
gotta
few.
do it,
Take
yeah.
a few. But
Or
yeah,
at least a
generally speaking,
roll.
I'm not much of a street. So that's
Yeah.
I'm sure why.
Yeah, I feel like New York would be tough for me to shoot. I know, like, Brit wants to go to New York, and I also want to go to New York. I just want to experience it. I've never been in like a city that big. Whatever.
Oh, okay.
Like, Phoenix is like
It's-
a big city, but like New York is massive.
It's
Yes.
different.
But I know for sure when I get there, I'm gonna be like overloaded by like, okay, what can I even shoot? And is this even my style of shooting? Because I'm so used to desert and like a building with like a
Yeah.
broken roof.
Yeah, it's pretty busy. It's like anywhere that you look, it's like
Bustling.
I can take a picture of this, I can take a picture of that.
Yeah.
It's like there's nothing you can't really take a photo of
I wonder
there.
how fast I would go
Yeah.
through film there, especially
So
120.
fast.
It's
Probably
just
pretty
like
quick.
insane.
It depends a little bit on where you're at. Most people, when they go, especially first trip, you're going to Manhattan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Manhattan, it looks very similar, a lot of it.
Yeah.
You got to get out in the boroughs to get like the good stuff. There's a couple places that I want to go, and I was even talking to Dan about, and I'm like, I kind of want to go out here, but it's like real sketch. Like, because I used to,
though, you know?
My job used to take me all around the boroughs, mostly Brooklyn. So I'd be like all over Brooklyn. I forget the name. It's like this dead zone of like Brooklyn where
The Dip or something like that.
It lies really low. I forget the nickname for it, but it has this very low lying area, so it's always wet. It's constantly wet there and like flooded. But if you go on Google Earth and walk, like kind of drive around in Google Earth, it's amazing photography there. Like there's so many things, like there's like campers and there's weird people camping, and then there's houses that are kind of like messed up, and then there's like cars that have all like, it's old school New York that still exists
Like
in this
70s, 80s
this
New York.
tiny little pocket of Brooklyn, because no one really wants to live there because it's like kind of always wet and gross.
Isn't New York like basically a wetland that they just like built on top of?
It's
Am
an
I wrong?
island.
I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
some questionable spots. But if you get out into the boroughs, you start getting into some of the more gritty stuff.
Yeah,
Like, so,
that's the
but
stuff I
if you're traveling and you just, maybe that's the problem. Because the last few times that we've gone, we've pretty much just been in Manhattan, and that is very monotonous. And
very
Manhattan,
gray.
especially over the years, New York has changed where everything's like, I hate to say this, but a lot of the soul has been sucked out of
gone,
New
yeah.
York that used to exist. You can still find it in pockets, but a lot of it's wealthy, and a lot of it's like, you know, upper scale stuff, and a lot of banks and a lot of Starbuckses, and, you know, that stuff's like kind of overrun a lot of Manhattan. So I feel like I don't want to take a picture of that stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know, it's not that interesting. So
Especially if
you
you
got to
find
go a
it.
little further afield
Yeah.
when you go. Our trip's not going to be super long in the New York portion of it. So
Yeah.
But-
I feel like if you find something sad, it's kind of like, there's no motivation to shoot it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're like, it doesn't have the same appeal that it used to or whatever.
Yeah.
That sometimes I feel like that when I revisit some of the places I've already shot, I'm just like, well, I've been here before and nothing has really changed, or maybe it's changed too much and I'm just kind of sad about it. I'm like, okay, I just want to leave. Like, I don't really want to waste a roll here.
Yeah, I think the last time I shot a lot was when I first visited Missouri to visit my parents' farm.
yeah, you shot a
And
ton on that trip.
I shot like of course I say a lot, but for me that was
For
like
you, it was definitely a lot.
like maybe 8 rolls of film.
That's
which
a lot. I mean,
it was like 35, and I shot some 120.
that
but,
is a lot, dude. 35,
Yeah.
8 rolls. That's a lot of photos.
Yeah.
But I was basically throwing film in my 35 millimeter. Threw it on auto and just was like, well, I just needed to meter and focus. Like that's all I care about, because I'm going to be going and seeing all sorts of stuff. And we went into a couple different places, Mercer County, I think. There was like buildings that are falling apart, and like you could go into the building and see it like all collapsed. And
Oh my gosh, that sounds like paradise for me and
it
the
was
stuff I shoot.
amazing. And I was like, all right, I'm going to shoot this. I just like started shooting everything. And I ended up with like 8 rolls of film, and I was like, oh, this is cool. There was a house that said smells like shit,
like written on it.
spray painted on the house.
Dang.
And they basically, the person that lived there, they had opened up a dump site across the street from them. And so, and they're basically, their way of protest was to spray paint their own house. Smells like shit.
Yeah.
That seems kind of like a backwards way to do it.
If you ever
It's
go
a
to
little
our,
strange.
if you go
but
to the lab, it's up in the lab wall now.
yeah,
Oh, is it?
but
Yeah.
I want to
Okay,
make
cool.
a print and stick it in the bathroom.
Yeah,
That's a good spot.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really good bathroom print for sure. Yeah, you took some really interesting photos there.
It was-
There's some, that's kind of my jam too, and that's kind of why I'm stoked about this trip, because we're taking back to, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and part of the trip is through Pennsylvania, and it's through like, you know, Appalachia.
Yeah.
Like in Appalachia, there's some really interesting things happening there, and a lot of those towns are very much stuck in time.
They're on
and
little islands on their own.
yeah, and we're stopping through Centralia, which is super fun, which is the town that's on fire. Like they had the dump fire back in the 60s.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, wait,
And
it's
like
currently
a
on
ghost
fire.
town. It's like
Okay.
the Silent Hill was based off of that town.
Oh, okay.
Like, and it's the town that's on fire. So you go to the town, there's no more houses left, but the sidewalks are there and the church is there, and like
Ooh, that's
some of the
spooky.
street signs, I don't, they're slowly over time, like it's been lost, but it's just very strange because it's like this ghost town in a literal sense that like this
my
used
goodness.
to used to be a full-fledged town.
I'm so jealous of you guys right now. You guys are like talking about everything I love to shoot on film.
No, Appalachia's
fun.
like I recommend to anybody. Like it's a little scary if you're not familiar with that
Yeah.
area. But
Well, it's like
because some of those Appalachian towns, everybody knows everybody, and that's those towns. Those people still sit out on their porches and just hang out and watch people go by all day,
Yeah.
and they know if you're not there.
oh yeah, they know
there,
if you're not from there. For
They
sure.
know right away.
Me and Connor have been to some places where we show up to shoot and we got eyes on us. We got people yelling at us, like
Yeah.
out their cars, driving by, doing like multiple drive-bys, yelling at us, and that's usually the places where we're like, okay,
Yeah,
we,
it can be really uncomfortable.
maybe we hightail it out of here. Like,
I'm
I
a
don't
I'm a
wanna-
redneck at heart Appalachian, so
Yeah.
I feel comfortable
Feel
when we're out
comfortable
there
there.
Easy blends
shooting.
in.
Yeah, but I also like because back when I lived there, I moved away in 1999, so I've been gone longer than I lived there. Honestly, when I grew up, and when I took photos back then, I took film photos because that's all we had. Like that was what I learned on. Like,
Yeah.
but I didn't do it as like a document stuff. And now as an adult looking back, I'm like, wow, this area is amazing for photography,
Yeah.
especially what I'm into. So I'm
It's gonna be fun to go back.
Super excited to go back and take some
Yeah.
photos. Yeah,
Because now you get to like truly document like how you say you
Yeah.
didn't get to. So now
Yeah.
you get to really relive it. But
yeah.
through
So
your
my
camera
goal is to
instead.
take quite a few photos. I have a lot of things I want to get to. So
bring more than you think you need, both of you. That's my advice.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring my Rolly and shoot 120.
Your
and
Rolex or your? No, I'm
my,
just kidding.
my Rolex.
Every time someone says Rolly, I'm always like, your Rolex?
My Rolex. I would. It sounds very similar.
It does. I
But,
also don't know many people with Rollies, so it doesn't come up that much. But
That's true. Most people have Yashicas or they have like
Yeah.
Mamiya 6.7s and like other formats. I got that one at a super deal from my buddy Andrew for $220.
which is
yeah,
a
that's a super
big
deal.
deal,
It's like a
Especially for a Rolly.
$1,200
You've had
camera.
no problems with that. I keep going through TLRs. I finally got a Yashica recently
I
that
got
like works
Stacey
perfectly, and I'm so happy
sweet
about
deal
it.
on
Did you get a, what is it, a 124 or whatever it
It's
is?
the 635.
Oh,
Is that the
okay.
right number?
636.
I'm always bad with the
646 or
numbers.
something like that.
Yeah. But I have a Rolly Cord, a Rolly Flex, another Yashica, and then
Goodness
this new one. And
gracious.
the other ones, they all have problems in some way,
okay.
like, and mostly a lot of gaffer tape involved. But this one actually works. Like everything works fine.
Yeah.
Like the glass is like super bright and like.
Are
it's
you
just
both
nice.
like pretty much like TLR people? Like you love your little TLRs?
I love TLR. I love square format.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I don't
Yeah,
love. I don't like the ratio with 35. I don't love it.
I don't either.
I've been
I-
trying to embrace it a little bit more
no,
as of late,
I can't do it.
but it's too much. There's
Yeah.
too much there on the end. So
Yeah.
I generally
It
don't.
is too wide.
It's not even the size part of 35 that bothers me. It really is the format of
Yeah.
35 that doesn't work for
It's
me.
also not easily postable, and I know that shouldn't be like a prerequisite for what you shoot, but like
It's just difficult to share. I
yeah,
mean,
it's difficult to share, and it's small.
What's your go-to format?
Oh my goodness, medium format all
Yeah.
day, every day.
Do you have
Any
a-
type of medium format doesn't matter. Maybe not 6x9 because it is
Yeah,
a
6.9.
similar ratio to like
seems
35,
2.3.
just like bigger
Yeah.
35. But I have my Mamiya 7 that has been my bread and butter for like ever.
Yeah.
It's the workhorse of all my cameras, and then I have my Bronica RF 645 that I'm loving right now because it's so much better for portraits than my
Yeah.
Mamiya is.
Yeah.
And not that you can get any closer to your model, but something about the Bronica, I don't know,
Just
that's-
like that.
The depth is like so, and film or not film. Slim.
Yeah.
So I almost called him Film. I don't know why. Slim.
synonymous with
Slim
it.
said this to me yesterday because I sent him a few portraits that I took on the campaign shoot, and he was like, "Dude, that camera has like such that like, kind of like stereo or not stereotypical, but like that true like medium format look." That Bronica, like the fall off behind your subject, like the depth fall
Yeah.
off is just so buttery. Like it's not very like. It's not like in focus, out of focus. It's like very like gradual to the back. And it almost
Yeah.
looks like a painting, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something I really like about that Bronica. But yeah, I mean, any medium format besides 6x9.
I would say the 6x9 I really enjoy for shooting portraits. But
Really?
the thing is, you can't, to get the focus that you need, you have to be like
Close.
yeah, you have to do like full body portraits.
Yeah, exactly.
Look really good.
Mhm.
And I did a few, and I was just like blown away, like how clean and how separated it is from the background.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty
it's good
cool.
for that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but outside of that, it's kind of a weird format.
Yeah,
But-
medium format's one of those things where it's like, because there's not a lot of those cameras from those different brands, like you only have a certain option for a very specific type of shooting that
Yeah.
you do. Like if you're a portrait photographer, you probably should have an RB or an RZ
Right.
or some sort of like I don't even know. That's not a TLR, but you know what I'm talking about. Like a top down view, like something with wide glass that can really like you can get close to your subject. Mamiya 7, Bronica RF645, Mamiya 6 even, like dude, you're not gonna get like an up close headshot only of someone. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Unless you like crop in on your photo later. But I don't know.
Even with the rollies are really tight, or not. I wouldn't say tight. You have a 3 foot minimum distance from your subject.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, but they're good as far as portability. Like on the trip, ideally, like the 6.7 is what I should be bringing, and like, but the 6.7, I don't want to carry that all week.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the photos, that's pretty nice.
I
It's not
know.
bad. I mean, it's not square, but it's still like, damn, those negatives. But that thing's, I'm not carrying that around.
Yeah.
it's a,
Props to anyone that carries like an RB or an RZ around with them. Like, dude, that is a heavy camera. I see some people wearing it around their neck, and I'm like, you're gonna have neck problems, dog.
Yeah.
In like 10 years.
You need a little
Yeah.
cart to bring with.
yeah. Anytime I've taken that camera, the 6.7, I'm like, why did I bring this?
It is such a nice camera though. For anyone that uses
I like
it.
that the clunk of it. Like
Yeah.
that shutter. That shutter sound is nice.
I am a big leaf shutter guy. Like I love the little tiny like trickle of a leaf shutter where it's just like tsk, like it's very like you almost can't even hear it. And what's funny about that Bronica is like it sounds like a ray gun. Like I don't know like if anyone plays like Call of Duty like zombies, like the ray gun, it kind of has that like sound to it, and I love it so much. It sounds like it's like from like an 80s sci-fi movie or something. It's just beautiful. I can't do the clunk clunk. I don't like it as much. It is an interesting sound, but it's too much for me.
Yeah.
You can't take a subtle photo.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime I've taken one of the 6.7, I'm like, everyone in the room
Everyone
heard
knows.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's so loud.
Yeah, street photographer with an RB, that'd be wild.
Yeah.
You're
I was
risking
joking
it.
about
Yeah.
shooting 4x5 street photography. Like there's some people that do that. There's
Yeah,
a guy, there's
absolutely.
a few people even with the flashes and stuff.
There's a dude in New York that does that I've seen Instagram reels of.
Yeah. There's a few guys. It's just kind of a crazy process, but
Yeah.
I'd love to do that, but taking all of our stuff there is a whole different thing.
Maybe that
if
could
you
be
live
like-
there, it's a little different. You
Yeah.
pull it out. And
That
do
could be
few
a good
things.
like photo walk practice type of thing. Like maybe
Yeah.
you figure out a rig to put your 4x5 on and just like
yeah,
shoot candids while we're walking or something. I don't know.
something.
Be the
That'd
next
crazy.
Ouija.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we always talk. We talk about Ouija every once in a while. It's like kind of our favorite, like 4x5 guy. But Ouija's work was all flash, mostly at night. Almost everything that he was doing, and like, but he was just 10 feet. He could do stuff so quick because he
Yeah.
was just like 10 feet. That's all I need to think about is the 10
There's
foot.
something like so special about like being so in tune with your camera to where like
Yeah.
you're so comfortable with it that it's almost like just an extension of your body
It's
or your
nice.
arm or whatever.
Yeah.
Like some people just like get so in a flow state or zone or whatever you want to call it where like their camera is just one with
Yeah.
them and they
Yeah.
can like see stuff before it happens.
Yeah. When you get a new camera, do not go shoot something like important.
Yeah.
Because it's like the nightmare. As soon as you
Yeah.
do it, like, I get so frustrated anytime I take a new camera to do something. I'm like, oh God, I should have
Practice
just
first.
I should just use this thing for a while.
Yeah.
And then did it instead of just pulling it out and thinking I could be
I
fine.
love to like when I get a new camera, I love, and Britt knows this, I'll pop a roll in and just shoot around the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then maybe I'll like only use half of it if I like start it at night, and then I'll use like the next bit and during the day just to like get a feel and like don't even use it again until I develop it and see it, you know?
Yeah.
Because you don't even know what you're getting until, especially with the
True.
new camera, you have no clue how
Yeah.
to
Film
use
cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a wild card. Like it's gonna be all light leaks.
It. Yeah, it's yeah. Oh man, I've
Oh,
had some
hell
of
yeah.
those cameras.
Jackpot.
They can look so good and then it's like they're a mess. Like
Any
the
Olympus,
doors and
any Olympus stylus, you can just expect it to have light leaks at some point in its lifetime. I don't know how much you guys use point and shoots, but oh my goodness.
don't
I've
use
used them
them
in
at
the
all.
past. I've gone on some trips and shot with point and shoots, but I've had pretty okay success with them. I think.
Yeah.
I got
But
burned out
some
on
of
them
them are
as a
nice.
teen.
Yeah.
Those that I used mostly. I'm like, I don't want to go back to.
Do you ever think like, man, I should have kept a bunch of those?
I wish I kept my negatives. I
You
don't
think
have any-
negatives more than your?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the camera's not so much. Although Dan found a camera that I used to own as a kid. he got it recently. We got a whole bunch of 220 cameras
or 110s.
110. Sorry, I
110s,
always say that.
little-
Yeah. We got a whole bunch of 110s, and there was this like purple camera. And before he got it, we had a whole photo of like the lot of cameras we were getting. And I'm like, oh my god, that was my camera. I own that.
So I got
That's
to
awesome.
see
Yeah, I
her-
don't miss the cameras because I didn't have high quality cameras at all. 'Cause
Oh, okay.
the cameras were like, that's all anyone had when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm older, I'm 49. So that's all we had. We didn't have digital. So you had a real range of cameras,
Yeah.
and most people had crap cameras.
Yeah.
It wasn't like,
Well, what's funny though is like some of those crap cameras are selling for like $100.
I know. I should have.
Because I was the guy that was selling them.
Yeah,
a
if
couple
I
years
could
ago.
time travel. Yeah, they used to be cheap. You used to,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
they were like giveaways with stuff. Like you could get a camera everywhere. Like
I've seen people buy Kodak cameos, which are like the worst of the worst point and shoots, for like $60.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy
It's
what
bizarre.
the market's done.
Yeah.
But back then, but the negatives are what I wish. Because what we do,
Yeah.
we get them from like the photomat or the 1 hour booth person. And
Mm-hmm.
like you get your photos and you get the little envelope, and then I keep the photos and I throw away the negatives.
Yeah.
And a lot of the photos I've had over the years, I've lost, or I've had floods. I had a lot of water damage once where I had them in a basement.
Dang.
I lost like a chunk of them. I'm like, if I just had the negatives, if I just had
Yeah.
the negatives, and I don't have any of the negatives from back then.
Well, Dan, your gospel earlier. We're all learning
Gotta-
lessons. Keep
gotta-
your negatives, ladies and gentlemen.
The
Because
negatives
if you
are
don't,
because back then scanning wasn't a thing. That wasn't the only way you got it was the print. That
Yeah.
was the only
Even
way.
I would say even if you don't like your film, I would say at least take them, throw them in a box, shove them in your closet.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Make this little space for yourself with your negatives if you're going to shoot film.
Because
I mean-
time will, that I preach this as well. Time does a lot to photos. So back in the day, the photos that I were taking, I'm sure they were garbage. I'm sure they were just like people I knew and places I was. But now I'm like, man, what I wouldn't kill to see photos that I took at 18 back in
Yeah.
the 80s and the 90s, like to see like some of the stuff I saw on people's fashion and like buildings and businesses.
Yeah.
Like I took photos at the mall and stuff, like in the 80s. Like that stuff is amazing now if you see
Yeah.
it. I'm like, oh man, if I just had those.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took for granted like that stuff because it wasn't, you know.
Yeah. I feel like we have like Wait, are you crying? Oh, I feel like we have like 2 boxes of like just straight up like negatives thrown, like
Yeah.
like throwaway negatives. But I always, like you were just saying, like I think we have those because it's like when we get older, like that's stuff that we're gonna show, you know,
Yeah.
our kids
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
It might not mean
you know,
a lot
it might
to you
even,
now.
It
but
might, you know, if the
Yeah.
future is very futuristic and like full of like tons of technology, you might be able to be like, look at all these like interesting
I
old
would-
houses.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I went
don't
through
know.
and scanned some photos of my parents and like before I was even born, and I was like, what the heck? Like these are crazy. There's one of what's that bridge? The natural bridge in northern Arizona.
Oh,
The Arizona one? Oh, yeah,
National
Tonto.
Bridge?
Yeah, Tonto
that
National Bridge.
Tonto National Bridge? Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I almost died there, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Road now.
But we ended up my parents had what do you call it? A photo of it, which is like a trip because it was
Yeah.
like way back before they made renovations. So there's like a part of the
dang.
park that you pull into. And there's like a parking lot, and they have photos there. And I'm like, I went and played there, you know, after whatever. But I don't
Yeah.
know. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like,
Yeah, stuff like that is.
it's best thing to do is just shoot it. Like I
Yeah,
was saying with New
oh my
York,
gosh.
I miss New York. Like I should have shot in New York. I lived in Williamsburg back in like 2006. It was like right, like hipster everywhere. Hipster. That was like
Yeah.
when that word really started hitting. And like, I'm like, oh man, I went to so much stuff that would be like so cool to like look back at and see
Yeah.
like what happened there when I was living there.
Me and
I
Connor-
just didn't think to do it.
When me and Connor were shooting, so we were shooting when I was making High and Dry, I was shooting with Connor. Every month we would go travel somewhere. But we had a rule that we lived by and we held each other to it, which was like, if you see something and you're like on the edge, you're like, I don't know, should I shoot it? Should I not? Like the main rule was, if you're here, you shoot it,
Yeah.
because when are you coming back?
Yeah.
And when is that car going to be in the same place, or when is that person going to be standing in that doorway at that exact time at this time of day?
Yep.
You know, it's just like you may as well shoot it. Sure, it's going to cost you money, but like if you're on the edge,
Yep.
shoot it,
Yep.
because you're gonna hate yourself, or not hate yourself, but you're gonna dislike that you didn't shoot it later on.
Yeah.
When you go back to look at these photos from these places, and you maybe remember that moment, you're like, damn, I
Wish I
should have
took-
shot that.
Should have.
So,
you miss
like-
every shot you don't take.
Exactly. Kind of the same thing.
It's true. We had
But,
that
yeah.
quote up on the wall for a while. Wayne Gretzky.
He must have been a film photographer.
Yeah. Michael Scott.
Michael Scott.
And Michael Scott.
Oh yeah, that's in the show as well. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But it's a good rule to live by, I think, for
Yeah.
everyone. That's like one of my main things that I like teaching people that are getting into film. It's like,
Yeah.
if you don't know, just shoot
Yeah,
it.
you have nothing to lose.
Exactly, except
Yeah.
for $2.
The money,
Yeah.
that's the only thing that kind of slows you down. That's like the big thing, the
Yeah.
advantage of digital. Digital, you can just like, phew, doesn't
But-
matter.
But yeah, like whatever. If you got roles,
So people feel a little hesitant in spending the money, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like you're not gonna. The perfect shot's never gonna be
It's
there. You're
never
never gonna.
gonna
You're
come.
never gonna like get that. Every once in a while, you're like, this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
But you still
Yeah.
don't know. It might not be
it's
later
never
on.
gonna come. There's only one
Yeah.
shot that I've shot in my entire being as a film photographer that I was like, that was the perfect shot.
Yeah.
And it was nothing that I planned, like it was like very like spur of the moment. I had just arrived at the place. I was getting into my like car to get my camera. I saw a car coming around a corner and I was like, oh my God, I gotta shoot. And I like didn't even have time to like think about settings. It was all like muscle memory. And then I shot it and it ended up being in the cover of HOV. But it's like that you don't get those very often. And
Yeah.
so like when you do get those, you kind of have to cherish them
Yeah.
and like hold them really close to your heart.
Oh yeah. You get like it's like the perfect composure and everything.
Yeah, but
It's-
sometimes you just can't plan that stuff. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't ever happen. You don't get to like plan that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And if you do, it costs a lot of money.
yeah, exactly.
settle that up.
Yeah.
yeah. Some people. That's why some people do that kind of work. So it's like,
It's like
I'm controlling everything here.
we were talking with somebody else and they're like, oh well, if the lighting's right, I'm not gonna bother shooting it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
We'll
so
just come
silly.
back and shoot it when it's perfect. I'm like,
But you're
Like-
there.
like how many times do you have to go visit that spot? I mean, I guess that
Yeah.
makes a story for what it
That is true.
for getting that perfect shot.
Some weird dedication.
But at the same time, I
It
mean,
is.
you could just as easily get the perfect shot and then be like, I went back to this place a million times.
Yeah.
And totally bullshit everybody and be like, well, you know,
Yeah, I mean, you could fib it. Yeah, like
Yeah.
who's gonna say you didn't go? But I don't know.
it's
The perfect shot is never gonna come. Like Stacey said, you just have to freaking shoot,
And
dude.
sometimes you shoot stuff and you get very surprised after you develop, and you're like, "That's way better than I thought it was."
Yeah.
The stuff that you think was good maybe isn't.
Oh man, that
you
happens.
you catch stuff all the time, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay."
It
Like,
happens more often than you think too. You get
It
phone
does,
back and you're like,
yeah.
that photo was such crap. I can't I don't even want to see it when it comes back. And then you see it and you're like, that was the best photo of the roll. What was I
Yeah.
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You just have to trust your intuition and things,
Yeah.
and be like, if it catches your eye, that means it's interesting in some way. So
In your eyes specifically, which is kind of like reverts
Yeah.
back to the conversation we had earlier where everyone is like shooting unique stuff. But it's like,
Yeah.
if it
Yeah.
catches your eye specifically, it's
Yep.
probably worth shooting.
then your style it's like clothes. It's like the stuff that you wear. People know your style. It's
Yeah.
how you do your house. It's like
Yeah.
people see that it comes out. Yeah, same thing with photography.
So, speaking of HOV and your other books, do you have any other projects that you got coming up or that you're
No.
working on? Take a little
Hard
break.
no. Yeah.
Little
And
vacation.
people ask me that a lot.
Sabbatical from photography.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I was just like, there's a reason why I put the finale on the side of HOV. I was like, this is a lot
Yeah.
of work, guys. Like
It's a lot.
220 pages, full color, all film photography.
Yeah, that's a lot.
2 books in a row. 'Cause, I mean, the third was digital, but it is a lot of work. And I was working on releasing High and Dry and also in the middle of working on HOV at the same time. So like the High and Dry book launch, I was already halfway done with HOV. It was just like
Yeah.
I was like working every Sunday for like 4 hours on it throughout
jeez.
the entirety of a year. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's too much work. And I love working at BlackRock right now. Like I'm really enjoying my time there and like focusing on a different style of photography because I did film photography nonstop for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, no projects on the horizon. I think for now I'll just stick to like exhibiting photos here and there. I have stuff at Monsoon right now, which I'm like a little past due on picking up, but
Yeah.
I think we're cool enough that they're just letting it slide. So
Yeah.
I need to go get that stuff.
I
But
think we might have one of your prints at our lab
hell
Yeah, we have-
because
Oh wait, you guys do the dominoes and guns.
Yeah.
one.
yes,
You guys can have it.
I think it's in our thing. Yeah.
If you want it, you can have it.
Okay. We'll put it up then because I
Yeah.
think it's in the drawer. I think
Yeah,
we have a
because-
few. There's a few people that are still left in that drawer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like I have so many prints of that one. Wilson did an exhibition. They used that one, so they gave me the print, and then I
Nice.
have the other like because you had us do we printed our own and then we brought them to you. So I
Yeah.
printed one normal, I think like a satin or something
Yeah.
like that, and then I printed one like metallic
Yeah.
paper just to see what it would look like. And so that one's just like sitting in like an archive folder that I'm doing nothing with. So you guys can keep that one. I don't need another print of that.
Yeah,
same
we'll
photo.
put it up on the wall.
Yep, we'll put it up.
That's
there.
where
Hey,
it's where photos go.
yeah,
to,
yeah.
Photos go to die.
yeah.
Photos go to die.
We say if
I know.
someone, like people leave anything in the lab, like it eventually
Yeah.
ends up on the wall.
Well, it'll be an honor to have it
Yeah.
up there, you know. And that is a piece of Arizona history too, that signage.
It's such a trip.
It really
oh,
is.
man,
That's still there too, isn't it?
Oh, people come up to me all the time and they're like, like, have you seen that sign now? It's all beat up, or like one side of it has been like blown up or whatever. I'm just
Where's
like,
that at? Is that an Indian school?
36th Street
Indian school in 36.
36,
Dan had
okay,
it
yeah.
dialed up.
I
You were
know.
ready to go with that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. That's a.
That was your old neighborhood.
Close to. I would lived off of 32nd Street in Thomas, but
Yeah,
I've
we
always
were
driven
on-
by and been like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, that photo I took straight. I think Britt was driving, and yeah, we were on the right lane, so closest to the sign, and we just so happened to be stopped behind a line of cars where I was at the perfect point to
Nice.
shoot it how I shot it, and it was a Leica point and shoot, just full zoom all the way in,
Nice.
as much as I could get. And now it's like the one photo that people ask me about the most. And I'm like, I don't even like that photo that much. I mean, it's very Arizona, but it's nothing
It's
special.
very Arizona. Yeah, you shoot that and
Yeah.
put that anywhere else in the world, and people are like, "What is that?
Yeah.
What am I looking
I
at?"
mean,
but
when
here, it's like people seen it, so they don't think about it. But yeah, anywhere
Yeah.
else that someone's looking at it, they're like, "Wait, what?"
For anyone that's like listening and doesn't know what we're talking about, it's a photo of a Domino's sign with a gun sign right below it. Like there's a gun store and a Domino's store right next to each other, and they have co-signed
Yeah.
on the same pole.
Yeah.
But I mean, even when I posted on Twitter, there's people from like different countries being like, "Whoa, America's crazy." I was just like,
You like pizza and
I was like,
guns.
dude, this is
yeah, it's
normal.
a very sum up of New York, of Arizona, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it is totally. And I know like
strip centers with all these weird things mixed and matched and
Yeah.
pushed together,
Yeah,
and
we
guns
have
everywhere.
so much weird signage in the state, and that
So
I think that
much.
one sticks out the most, obviously, to people because it's so jarring. It's like you have
Mm-hmm.
something really enjoyable, and then something that like does a lot of
I saw
damage.
something recently on the west side that was similar to that, and I can't remember what it was, but I was like, "Oh man, we got to come back here and take photos."
Yeah.
Do
I know,
it.
I know
Should've
it's on
had
the
your
I
camera.
know it's on the west side. I know
Yeah.
now. I don't even remember where it was.
Yeah.
See, that's what
Uh-oh.
happens. But I don't always have my film camera around. Do you carry yours around, or you take it out purposely?
Oh man, that's a good question. I used to carry my point and shoot everywhere I went. So
Yeah.
you know, I'd either have my Leica C1 or I have a little Voigtlander point and shoot, or I just got a Fujifilm Natura Classica.
Nice.
So nice, so small. It literally fits in your like side pocket. But I used to carry them around all the time, anywhere me and Britt went. But now I've kind of like died off from doing that.
Yeah.
I like using my point and shoots in a more like candid party setting. So like when we're hanging out with friends, I'll shoot them there, or when we're
Yeah.
at like a family function, I'll shoot with film there. But I don't know. It's a lot to carry around.
It is. It
and I already
is.
have my
It
backpack
is.
for work with like my laptop and stuff in it.
Yeah.
So I usually will when we're going somewhere special, but not like just day to day anymore.
Yeah. Normally I don't. No, I used to back in the day. Used to keep one in my glove compartment because
That's a good idea.
if you had a crash or something, like, and you needed to document, you didn't have a cell phone, so you had no way to
Yeah.
like take a photo. So I knew a lot of people that did that. So you just kept the
Develop
the
your-
emergency stash of money, and you kept your disposable camera there just in
Yeah.
case you needed to take some photos of
Yep.
something, which I actually have done, like for. Some
It's funny how
accidents.
much faster like documenting accidents has become.
Yes, seriously. One of my
Yep.
cameras is actually from the Highway Patrol of Tempe, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah, Tempe Highway Patrol.
Tempe
Like a
Highway
digital
Patrol.
camera or
No, film.
What?
One of the
Yeah.
Yashicas.
One of the
Really?
Yashicas. Yep.
They're
Yeah.
out there shooting on 6x6.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
wild.
So I'm curious. Like, it's in pretty good shape. It has a light leak though, or no, it
Yeah.
skips frames. I think
It skips frames, but it's probably seen some
it's in
crazy
beautiful
stuff.
shape.
gosh,
but
yeah.
I think like, wow, what did this camera take photos of? Like with Highway Patrol.
Is it storming outside? I wonder if the mics pick that up.
It is.
Yeah, a little bit.
Ooh, that doesn't
Yeah.
happen too often for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dang, what a special occasion. It says severe weather. Oh no. We're trapped.
Well, we can wrap.
About time. We need some rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
oh my
won't.
gosh. And it
it's
dipped.
it's a tease. It won't happen.
Guys, it dipped below 100. We're at 98 right now.
Oh my,
Everyone
that's
rejoice.
that's open all the windows.
98 degrees at 8:45.
Heck yeah.
Lovely.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Heck yeah, dude.
It's been fun chatting with you.
Absolutely. Where can
Same.
people find you? So you have your Instagram, you have your website,
Yeah.
which are both Dino Jagger.
Yeah, everything is Dino Jagger, DinoJagger. So my website's just dinojagger.com. My @ is Dino Jagger on all social platforms.
Perfect.
And then yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, my website, if you want to buy a book, anyone listening, my website links straight to Mixum's print shop and Blurb's print shop for the first book. But
Heck yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Just my name. Search that. Actually, when you search my name on Google, some T-Rex toy pops up. So
Nice.
maybe don't
Yeah.
use Google, but like just type it into your browser specifically.
That kind of makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
Yeah,
Probably a cool dinosaur.
it is pretty sick. It's called Jagger T-Rex, and I don't know, like,
What?
yeah, you should look it up later.
Heck
We'll look it
yeah.
up after we finish.
Do you have one? You should get one.
No, and I actually have always wanted to get one, but I've never pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I was gonna say you should get
yeah, I
one.
need to get one.
You're like, oh my God, it's you.
It's a Jagger
Seen it.
T-Rex.
Got to put more
connection
stuff
there.
out online to get yourself up on the
I
top
know.
search.
Gotta beat
I
up.
had that nightmare because I got married and changed my name, and all my online presence went away because my last name changed.
Yeah.
You gotta beat out
You gotta,
Mattel or whatever company.
So now I'm trying to like get more.
I think it's
on there.
Hasbro.
Is it Hasbro?
Yeah, that's who I'm competing with.
Yeah, you gotta like keep like trying to beat the other person. So there's one other girl that has my name, and last time I looked, I'm starting to go over her. So
Yeah. Don't be a Hasbro.
Don't be a Hasbro. All right.
Cool. Well, thanks, Dino.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank you
being
guys
on.
for having me.
yeah, thank you.